Hey, it's the Rob Kendall Show. Thank you so much for spending it with us. Hope you're having a great Thursday. A lot of stuff to get to today. The big news yesterday, the governor comes out and brazenly lies to 7 million people and suspends the gas tax all over again after spending weeks saying, no, I can't do it. And I'm watching this yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, it's COVID all over again. It's COVID all over again. You think about what happened yesterday, not whether you like the fact that the gas taxes are suspended for another month, not if you like the fact that it's going to help you financially, but if you think about just the sheer mechanics of what happened yesterday, in which the governor of the state, via executive order, did something completely ridiculous that he can't and shouldn't do, and the Republican General Assembly just said, that's fine, go right on ahead. That is exactly what happened during COVID. It's not whether you like the policy or not. It's if they'll just make it up, if they'll break the law, if they'll do whatever they want to do whenever it fits them, and nobody fights back when you like something, then they're going to do it when you don't like something. See 2020, 2021. And that's what happened yesterday. The governor of the state of Indiana, despite spending weeks saying that he could not issue another executive order on the gas tax, and saying there was no appetite from the Republican-led General Assembly to have a special session to do their job and suspend the gas tax. Yesterday, he just did it. And the way he did it is beyond words. He said, now there's a new emergency. The last emergency declaration, that was a different thing. That was about Iran. This one, well, this one's about Ukraine. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but the Ukraine thing's been going on for 4.5 years. And go back 4.5 years when Biden allowed Ukraine to be invaded by Russia, and gas prices spiked then, much higher than they actually are today. What did the governor and the General Assembly do then? The answer is nothing. The answer is nothing. So it wasn't an emergency when it first happened 4.5 years ago, when gas prices went higher than they are now. But 4.5 years later, after weeks of Braun saying he couldn't do something, his excuse to be able to do it, the emergency, was the war in Ukraine. And the Republican General Assembly just said, sure, why not? Oh, he also blamed wildfires in Canada. So the precedent that the governor has set now is anytime there is anything that disrupts the price of gas, gas tax gets suspended by executive order. Wildfires, wars, refineries shutting down, hurricanes, travel disruptions, which all of this stuff happens all the time. So the standard now is no more gas tax. And again, it's not whether you want the gas tax suspended or not, or removed or not. You guys know, for 10 years now, I've been bitching about this. It's about whether the Republican General Assembly is getting bailed out from not doing their job because they don't want the heat, which is exactly what happened during COVID. Which tells you if COVID happens again, the Republicans are once again going to allow a governor to be able to do whatever the hell he or she wants to do so they don't have to take the heat. That is exactly what's going on here. They know it's illegal. These people have said, or they have told the governor, who has relayed it, that they had no desire to suspend the gas tax again, to have a special session, to do their jobs. None. And they're letting Braun break the law the same way they let Holcomb do whatever the hell he damn well pleased. And nobody pushed back. The entire time that stuff went on, the only thing they did, the General Assembly did, exempt themselves from the mask mandate. That's why you need to care. It's not whether you like the end result. It's the fact that we have seen with these people, when they let a governor do whatever the hell he wants because they don't want to work, they don't want the smoke. That's what this is about. And what Braun recognized, and they recognized, is who's going to sue me to stop me? They're daring the Democrats, because Ed Delaney came out yesterday, Ed's been on our show, Democrat state rep, Indianapolis, and said he can't do this. But Braun is saying, and the Republicans are saying, in an election year, go ahead and sue me. Can't wait to run the ad saying, I suspended the gas tax and the Democrats sued me to stop it. The law is very clear. There is no doubt on what the law says, which is why for weeks Braun said he couldn't do it. And the idea that he's blaming a 4.5-year-old war in which his own party, when the war was fresh and new and gas prices actually spiked because of it, they did nothing. So it wasn't an emergency then. And they just had people yesterday going, I can't believe you're upset about this. Yeah, I am upset about it because they don't want to do their jobs. The only time Braun has called a special session and demanded these guys get to work and do their jobs is to make Trump happy. Oh, I hear people say, well, you'd be mad about the cost of a special session. No, I wouldn't. It should be about a 20-minute meeting. Who is in favor of indefinitely suspending the sales tax on gas and the excise tax on gas? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, see ya. And then we don't have to come back or talk about it until you want to reinstate the gas tax. That's the reality of this. And everybody should be outraged. Because we saw the damage that happens when the General Assembly cowers in a corner, doesn't want to do their job, doesn't want to man up, and doesn't want to take a position. You get a governor, like we saw with Holcomb, totally out of control, and just like Braun, totally making it up. Remember Holcomb? I'm trusting the science. What science was that? Dr. Fauci? Who's now been proven, not that we needed further proof, but just on the diaries alone, to be a habitual, malicious liar to enrich and empower himself? Was that the science you were trusting, Mr. Governor? How about the science of Dr. Box, gynecologist? You know, the chick that was in charge here in Indiana, she was so resolute on her COVID precautions, she went to her kid's wedding without a mask after finger wagging at everyone else saying, you better wear your mask. It keeps happening, and you can't judge it based on whether you like the end result or not. You could get an end result you like and keep the governor's power in check. What the General Assembly is saying, and there is no doubt, Braun said it for weeks, I can't do it. I can't do it. The General Assembly is saying the laws don't matter. Break whatever law you want, do whatever you want. If we like you or we like the result, you're good. It's why I have no faith whatsoever, even though Max Engling's campaign brazenly broke the law, accepting an illegal $60,000 donation, 12 times the legal limit. Nothing's going to happen to him because they like him. They want him to win. The rules only matter to the people we want to enforce the rules on. Now, Braun was on yesterday with Hammer and Nigel. They can't say my name, but I can say theirs. And they, of course, asked him about this supposed emergency that's been around for 4.5 years, and Here's what he said about why he felt it justified him to suspend the gas tax. Take a listen.
And the thing that came up that's aggravated it even further would be the disruption of oil supplies due to the Russian-Ukrainian war and some supplies being disrupted due to wildfires up in Canada. So for us to do it, it had to be based upon a different set of circumstances, and we viewed that as being aggravating already.
Is that why you didn't call a special session?
Yeah, because I wouldn't have done that unless both the House and the Senate and the Attorney General agreed with it that you could do it.
Because we were told that you couldn't extend this anymore. That was like the groundwork that had been laid.
It had to be based upon if you're in an emergency situation, it has to have the merit to do it, and you've got latitude. And this was based on similar circumstances, but different. So we cleared that with House, Senate, and the AG, and they gave it the okay.
So for months, you knew about the Ukrainian war. It was never an emergency. And then the day before the gas tax is supposed to expire, there's a war with Ukraine and Russia. It's an emergency. There's wildfires in Canada. It's an emergency. Why didn't anyone mention this for weeks? I'll tell you why. Because it's not legitimate. And what they didn't want was the gas prices going up 60 cents a gallon. What we talked about yesterday. And they didn't want the smoke. I talked to somebody yesterday that's pretty involved, and they said they were petrified that this was going to give Bo by the Secretary of State's office. Because everybody was going to be pissed off. You can hide 5 cents a gallon or 10 cents a gallon overnight. You can't hide 60. He is lying because this stuff happens all the time that he's using as the emergency now. Wildfires happen all the time. Wars in other countries happen all the time. Refineries go down all the time. Hurricanes hit all the time. Tornadoes hit all the time. So by the standard, this disingenuous clown has set forth, we're done with the gas tax. Forever and ever, amen. They didn't do anything when it was Biden because they wanted you to hate Biden, because they hate you. It's all about them. They had an opportunity to help you 4.5 years ago when you needed it. What'd they do? Nothing. Because they wanted you to feel the pain, so you'd blame Biden so it would help them at the ballot box. That's all this is about. If Kamala or Biden was president and had done Iran, they wouldn't lift a finger. Hey, vote accordingly. And he's so bad at lying. That's the thing. He's so unconvincing about it. Like, this is not okay, guys, and it's not the policy. Yes, we should get rid of the gas tax. We have $4 billion in reserves. We have plenty of money to permanently suspend the gas tax. It's about $1.5 billion a year. Public school math, $4 billion is a hell of a lot more than $1.5 billion. These guys don't want to work. That's the deal. They don't want the smoke, so they said, do it. These guys avoid work like the plague, and they didn't want to come back here, and they didn't want to do it. And so they said, do it. Even though you said for weeks you can't do it, and we backed you up that you can't do it, do it. All right. More from the interview. And this was they got to a lot of stuff. We're going to get to more than just the gas tax here. They asked him something, we're going to play it a little bit, about Andy Zay and the IURC. If I am Andy Zay, I have already clipped that audio. I have rushed it down to my attorney, and I've said, please use this however best. I mean, I can't believe the answer Braun gave on why Andy Zay got fired, given the public answer they gave. Look, the reality is Braun is daring the Democrats to sue him. They got in a room. This is exactly what happened. I know these people better than they know themselves. They got in a room and they said, if that gas goes up 60 cents a gallon, people are going to be pissed big time. And it's not only potentially going to hurt our state house candidates. and our statewide candidates. It's potentially going to hurt the Congress candidates. And it's going to hurt Trump. And they said, we got to do something. And what they said was, we're going to make it up. Everybody's going to know we're making it up. And we're going to dare the Democrats to sue us because we know no regular person's going to sue us. No regular person's going to be like, yeah, F those guys. They made gas 60 cents cheaper. And then they want to be able to say, we did it. The Democrats sued us. The Democrats caused your gas to go up 60 cents a gallon. That's exactly what they did. They don't care at all about the law. They don't care at all about any of that. So Hammer then asked Braun the obvious question. Yet, no one I know has asked him this until now, which is crazy and in total indictment of our media. You keep suspending these gas taxes by executive order. You have $4 billion in reserves. It's set to projected to climb over $5 billion next year. That's over taxation. And Hammer said it. Good on him. He said it. Why not just eliminate the gas tax? You have all of this money. You keep doing these executive orders. Why not just eliminate the gas tax? And that involved thoughts. Of course, Braun had no answer for that. But he did brag on himself. He did blame Biden for inflation. I mean, as though what's amazing to me about Republicans is the trillions that they print, never inflation. The shutdowns that they paid for, never inflation. The Democrats, it's always inflation. And Braun voted to print all that money in 2020. But somehow it's always just Biden's fault. He then conveniently didn't mention he raised taxes by $1 billion last year, which has led to a big part of these reserves. Here's this little word salad that Braun responds with. Take a listen.
I've always been taught that if you've got a surplus, you've been overtaxed, right? So if we've got a surplus and we're still doing okay without this gas tax in a state that's a very heavy Republican majority, a top 5 gas tax in the nation, a lot of people have a hard time with that.
I'd agree. So that means you got to put that on the table. Infrastructure is the one thing that has been totally funded through dedicated funding. The rest of our budget operates on sales tax revenue, income tax. Infrastructure has been different. Whether that needs to stay the same or be different, all this does, and here is where I'd push back a little bit. They couldn't have considered any of these options because we weren't attending to running our government the way it needed to be run. And I told you up front, we were going to run it more like a business, get more done with less, get the benefits to the people that need it the most. And then the whole affordability issue came up. Gift from Joe Biden, 7, 8, 9% inflation, 22, 3, and 4. And we're all feeling the consequences of it. And people are getting fatigued of it. But yes, if we keep doing that year after year, that then opens up all kinds of things we can do to give tax less as long as we can get more done with less and run things efficiently.
You can't hate that guy enough. No matter how much you hate him, it's not enough because he lied. No mention of the billion. He always talks about running a business, running it better, whatever word salad of the day he uses. He raised taxes by $1 billion last year. When he talks about running the government better or running it more efficient, most people won't call him out on it. We will. You're a liar. You're a fraud. You are a big, fat phony. And I would love to have the conversation with him about it. You raised taxes by $1 billion. You're sitting on $4 billion in reserves. You clearly have more money than you need. The obvious answer when he says, well, we should put it on the table. That's what the special session would be. To put it on the damn table. That's the whole premise of having the session. Let's talk about it. We're collecting, but that's what they don't want to do. They don't want that conversation in public because they have plans for that money. They are going to go so hard into legalized vote buying next year, you can't even fathom. He is such He is such a fraudster. You haven't run the government well. You took $1 billion extra from people that you didn't need. He would have never run his business that way. Although maybe he did. Maybe that's why he needs billions of dollars from the taxpayers to fund that Mid-States corridor. I don't know. Speaking of Mid-States corridor, Tom Bartelt is going to be with us at the 10 o'clock hour. Tom Bartelt, one of the members of the Property Rights Alliance down in Southwest Indiana, retired family farmer. And we're going to get the latest on what's going on with that Mid-States corridor because I think it's coming back. And we told you guys that as soon as we got any wind that anything might be coming up again, we're going to let you know as soon as we know. So we're going to talk about that coming up at 10. All right. Can we go to 4? Braun got asked about something yesterday with Hammer and Nigel, and he said something that if I am Andy Zay, I'm clipping this, I'm saving this, I am sprinting this down under lock and key to my attorney because it appears to be in direct contrast with the public statement that Braun gave on why Andy Zay was fired from the IURC. All right, let's remind everybody about this, right? So Andy Zay, I know most of you know, but for those of you who don't, by the way, welcome. We got all sorts of new people coming in now. Welcome. Thanks for being with us. Rob Kendall Show, Indiana News, Politics, and Government. So Andy Zay was appointed by the governor. He was a state senator appointed by the governor to be the chairperson of the IURC, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. And one of the first things that the IURC, the new IURC with Zay as the chairman, had to hear was an AES rate case. AES, for those who don't know, the power provider for Indianapolis, for Marion County. And they were asking for a very large rate increase, $191 million. The proposed settlement was $91 million. The IURC stripped that down to $71 million. So they went from $191 million asked, $71 million granted. Braun then blew a gasket and basically said Zay was not holding up his end of the bargain. Braun's directive was affordability. And we said at the time, this is another example of Braun identifying problem, not fixing problem, then being mad that the solution he put forward didn't work out. Property taxes, IEDC, IURC, utility bills, all of it. It's the same stuff with this guy over and over and over again. The reality is, and we have told you this numerous times, the IURC is basically a court. Their job is to follow statutes put into place by the governor and the General Assembly. The same governor and General Assembly who last year essentially gave a blank check to the utilities to raise your rates to study in Dr. Frankenstein unproven nuclear technology. You guys are going to pay so much for that SMR bill. 80% of all research and development, whether it works or not, you're going to pay for in rate increases. And this guy has the audacity to come out and tell us, oh, I care about affordability. It's my top priority. Then change the laws. You want the IURC to do something different, change the laws. He knows. Jim Merritt told us on State House Happenings yesterday. By the way, State House Happenings dropped. You can find it in the videos tab on our Facebook page, our YouTube page. And then it's available. It's dropped on all of the on-demand platforms already if you want to just listen to it. Jim Merritt is on the nominating committee. And he told us yesterday he thinks a whole bunch of these rate cases are not going to get decided in court because there are statutes the IURC is supposed to follow per the General Assembly and the governor. And they're not changing them because they don't want to run afoul of the utilities because the utilities own these people. This is what's going on here. Braun doesn't actually want the problem solved because he's not doing the thing to solve the problem. If he wanted the problem solved, he'd change the statutes. He's putting these people on this IURC board and then going, you guys solve it. Well, we can't solve it. You guys solve it. Well, we can't solve it. Do it anyway. And then he knows it'll go to court and they're going to lose. But he doesn't care. Because then he won't run afoul of the utilities. They get their money. And he goes, well, I tried. And he goes, unless you listen to this show, you're not going to know any of that. Nobody knows this thing better than Merritt. He was the utility chairman for years. And he said it yesterday. He said, these are going to court. Because these guys can't be doing what Braun's mandating that they do. So Andy Zay, and we said when he picked Zay, we're like, you're picking an institutionalist. The guy was a state senator for 10 years. You think he's going to buck the system? No, he thrived in the system. He is the system. So Andy Zay does what the system says to do, and he approves $71 million in rate increases for AES, and Braun blows a gasket. And Braun demotes him as chairman. A short time later, weeks later, Braun comes out right before, by the way, they were about to rehear the AES case. Braun and the consumer counselor, Abby Gray, said, we're bringing it back. He fired Zay. Maybe he'll have a change of heart. Maybe it'll be like the Grinch. And we're going to make him rule on it again. Well, word on the street was Zay was like, smooch both of my butt cheeks. I didn't do anything wrong. You can fire me as chairman. You can remove me as chairman. I'm going to follow the law. I'm not changing my vote. And there's all sorts of rumors about correspondence that's out there and who corresponded with who and what legal ramifications there might be for that. I don't know. Don't know for sure. What I do know is Braun then fires Andy Zay for cause. And this is important. You cannot remove somebody from the IURC unless it's for cause. That means they have to do something specifically bad. You see this all the time with coaches or any high profile position. If you fire them and they have a contract, you have to pay it unless it's for cause. They do certain things. Great example of this would be Brian Kelly, the former head coach at LSU. He leaves Notre Dame, goes to LSU, gets this massive contract. They stink. And LSU's like, you're out. And he's like, great, pay me. You owe me $1 gajillion. And they held off, and they're finally like, no, it's for cause. And it's like, there's no cause. Being a bad football coach or not winning is not cause. And finally, they ended up paying him his money. He's like, yeah, okay, you stink. And they should have just called us Notre Dame fans. They would have been able to find that out. This guy ain't all that great. He can't win the big games. Hey, Directional State University, he's your guy. You want to win a meaningful game, not your guy. But that's an example of that. You have to do something specific. Just ruling in a way I don't like, that's not for cause. So when they fired Zay, the state listed very specific examples, including failing to file a required financial disclosure after his removal as chair, improperly awarding payments and personal gifts to employees, and directing staff to alter a public meeting agenda without consulting the new chair. Now, I said this yesterday in State House Happenings. I have no idea what actually happened. I know what I'm hearing behind the scenes. And who knows, right? I'm sure it's all going to come out. I would be floored if Andy Zay, who has been an institutionalist for years, made those mistakes. Or made any other mistakes that other people aren't making, right? He's been around the game too long. Maybe he did. I don't know. I said, something smells fishy about this. But those were the very specific things that Braun said we're firing Andy Zay for. However, Hammer asked him about it yesterday, and Braun didn't mention any of those things. He claims it was because Zay didn't follow through on affordability, which is in direct contrast of what the state said of why he was fired. Listen to this answer, audio for Andy Zay, of Hammer asking Mike Braun about Andy Zay.
Very clear. When we had 50-some individuals interested in getting one of those two slots, he was clearly, from our direction, ratepayer conscious is what we're looking for. Change the dynamic of where it's been a rubber stamp for utilities. Well, out of the gate, and he had experience working on the utility committee, and he indicated that he was with us there. Whenever you get in a spot, you can kind of go rogue, or you can kind of maybe have quick amnesia. But obviously, where he weighed in on that case was not the reason he was put onto the commission. It was for the opposite. And then when he was doing other things to show that he was going to dig in just as a member on future stuff, To me, it was kind of like insubordination. It was clear whenever you're running an organization, generally you can test people more. It's not on a public profile. It doesn't weigh out like this did. Here, it was clear to me he was going to chart his own course, which was not part of the reason he was put on in the first place. And you make quick decisions simply because don't let it linger. Get a commission that's going to be ratepayer conscious. We're going to do that. It's going to put equilibrium in what has not been equilibrium. First time ever, we're going to have ratepayer conscious commissioners also concerned about reliable electricity. We've had rubber stamps for the utilities for years on years. Other governors, I'm sure, wanted to do it. I did it because, to me, it's more important than ever when you're talking about affordability being the number one issue.
There was nothing in there about any of those things. If I'm Andy Zay and I'm his attorney, loaded up to my case, the plaintiff rests, Your Honor. That is unbelievable. And we've said this for a couple years now. Don't ever let Braun stop talking. I have no idea why they let him do these interviews, because every one of them, he says something ridiculous. And in that case, I mean, you're talking serious potential legal implications in which he appeared to admit right there, I fired him because he didn't do what I demanded he do on AES. That's not how this works. You get your say, Mr. Braun, when you make the pick, and then you're done. It's like the Supreme Court. Do these Supreme Court judges rule how Trump doesn't want all the time? Yep, you picked them. You don't have the ability to fire them because they didn't do what you wanted. Part of why it gives credence to the lifetime appointment stuff, right? It appears abundantly clear right there. Mike Braun had every opportunity to say, hey, he did this. He didn't file this form. He was, what was the one? He was giving payments and personal gifts to employees. That should be pretty black and white, right? Here's what he gave. Here's what we've got. He didn't file this form. Here's what he was supposed to do. He didn't. None of that. It was all about he didn't do what I said, and so I fired him, which you can't do. That is a explosive clip that I'm sure if Andy Zay is worth a damn or his attorney's worth a damn, they've already got under lock and key. And if you guys need it, I'll send it over to you. Free of charge. All right, one other clip, 3. We'll go to 3. Hammer was on fire yesterday. He actually asked another very good question that nobody in the media, for some reason, will ask. And it's something that we have talked about for weeks now on this program. Why are certain people getting reduced cost daycare and the rest of us who go to work every day, middle-class people, are forced to pay for it? Why are we getting our taxes raised by $1 billion and then other people are getting hundreds of millions of dollars in subsidies for reduced cost daycare? And he, of course, has no answer for this. And he then bizarrely, listen to this, like, man, word salad are us, baby. Don't let grandpa leave the mansion anymore. I mean, this is bad. This was a bad interview for Braun. Good interview for Hammer and Nigel. They got the answers. Bad interview for Braun. But he brazenly tries to claim most people who work a good job are getting daycare through their work. Like, this is, listen to this. This is the weirdest thing. Look, I get that Braun, because he's worth $9 gajillion, never lived a normal life. Never probably had his kids in the local daycare. But he is totally clueless on how this works. Listen to this.
The feedback that we got was, wait a minute, this is only going to help the poor people. What about us middle class here? What about us middle class folks that need some help with our child care and daycare?
So, child care generally is going to be the portal to getting more individuals into the workforce. What did I tell you earlier? We dropped from 4.4 to 3.3. Workforce development is now finally getting aligned the way it should be through our high school diplomas, where career and technical education is just as good a way to make a living, stigmatized by higher ed over the years. We've got that balanced. Here, we've got daycare capacity that was built upon the voucher, and a lot of these daycare centers are only operating at 60 to 65% capacity. And yes, it helps people that can't afford it on their own. To me, if there's something you're doing that's going to generate creating a job, because you'd have to trade off between childcare and working, it's valid. Most folks that earn a living wage, that do have a good income, are getting childcare through that resource. Those places are filled and probably don't have much more capacity. The places that were built for those that can't afford it, it's a trade-off. Do you want folks out there maybe needing assistance because they got to take care of their kids, or you want to get them into the workforce, help them that way? I think that's good public policy.
You want to talk about a guy that has no idea how the world works. He thinks that like all of these businesses now have daycares and everybody's getting their daycare through their business. Like everybody just takes their kid to work with them. Like at the local bank. Hey, Tina, be sure to drop your kid off in the back. There's a giant toddler room back there. Or if you go to Bob Evans to work. Hey, I know you got to cook all day there, Adam. Just drop little Harry in the back there. We got a little pin set up for him. Target, Walmart, Meijer. What planet is this guy living on? And he's in charge of public policy. He doled out $200 million and wants $200 million more because he thinks that's how the world works. What? And our General Assembly just keeps going along with this. I would love, and I will never see Braun again, but I would love to just look at him and go, how does that work in your mind? When was the last time you were in a Walmart? Yes, versus a helicopter. The other thing that he said in there, and it just they glossed over it, he's admitting we have an entire industry in the state that was built around government handouts. He admitted that there are daycares that exist solely to get government handouts. He admitted it. He's like, these daycares can't stay open without the government handout. A Republican state, Republican governor, Republican supermajorities, and the governor admits we have an entire industry that only existed, or businesses in an industry that only existed because of government handouts, and without them, they go under. They can't make it. That doesn't sound, well, I mean, it is very Republican, but that doesn't sound very Republican Party platformy to me. That was a fascinating interview. Griffin Reed, don't ever stop booking interviews for Braun. Every time you do that, our show gets great content. You book him 4 times a day. You put him everywhere. My gosh, they let that man out on his own. He's like Biden level now. He lives in a world that the rest of us don't. Unbelievable. That's the governor of our state. Anthony Gary, he owns Dubois Real Estate, and he doesn't just list homes for sale. He gets them noticed, shown, and sold without you losing sleep or sanity. Anthony is trained with some of the top negotiators on earth and is ready to help you achieve your real estate goals. Put Anthony's expert selling strategy and experience to work for you. Call or text Anthony Gary, Dubois Real Estate, 317-756-1159, 317-756-1159. I don't know. There's something pleasing about the fact that I got 37 minutes of show content out of the place that I used to work. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome, man. That was. They did a good job with that one. They asked all the stuff, and he answered it. He sure did answer it. Hey, guys, help us out. Help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. Like, share, and subscribe. 3 easy steps that you can really help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. Number 1, give us that thumbs up. If you're watching us live on YouTube, on demand on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, give us a 5-star review. Really helps us grow the program. Share it out. Nobody's doing stuff like us. Look, trust me, guys, it's getting noticed. The right people have seen this program. Thanks to you guys putting it out, the growth of this show. We got a lot of exciting things in the works. Hopefully here in the next few weeks-ish, we'll be able to tell you about those things and what we're doing, and it's going. We had a plan when we started, and the plan has worked exactly as we thought it was going to work, and we hope we got some big things to tell you here coming up about the growth of this show, but it's because of you guys. Share the feed out. Facebook, Twitter, whatever you got. Share the feed out. Kind of goofy, I know. A podcast. Who would have thought? Kind of goofy. Don't understand what you're doing. That's one of the guys who works at my old place said to me. I don't get it. It's kind of goofy. You're going to see goofy. And last, subscribe to the feeds, whatever it is. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all of the places. You can help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. All right, we're going to take a break. We got a lot more to get to today, including Tom Bartelt, part of that Property Rights Alliance down in Southwest Indiana, fighting the Mid-States Corridor. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
DC politicians don't care. Buying stocks with insider information, they get filthy rich. But if you did it, you'd get locked up. Thankfully, there's one fighter on our side. Senator Todd Young is pushing to ban all congressional stock trading forever. He's never traded a single stock while in Congress. Young's a Marine who does the right thing. Contact Senator Todd Young. Thank him for standing up for us and for fighting to ban congressional stock trading.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thank you so much for joining us, being with us. Don't forget our website, robkendallshow.com. robkendallshow.com. We've got the live link, the on-demand platforms, all the places. You get people all the time. Are you on this? Are you on that? They're all right there. The link, boom, you go. Get your podcast there. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all of the places where you can get the program. Also, articles each day. We take our favorite segments, we turn them into articles. Those of you who like to read, I know there's some of you still out there, you read those articles. And of course, we've got the support button. You like what we do, we'll support the show. Say, hey, I'm feeling like a freeloader getting all this great content for nothing. Here's 7 cents. You can do it. Over at robkendallshow.com, there's a support button. And right in this month, what an incredible deal. Our great friend and supporter, John McKinney, sponsor of the YouTube chat, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. For the month of August, if you hit the support button at robkendallshow.com, whatever you give, he's going to double it in a plumbing credit up to $100. So if you give $50 over at robkendallshow.com, I send you an email, say thanks for giving, we appreciate you, we couldn't do it without you, all the niceties. Then if you need plumbing service, toilet, sink, water softener, water heater, whatever it might be, and you show him, hey, here's this email, I gave $50, you're going to get a $100 credit. It's an incredible deal. John's been an incredible supporter of our show, and so you can get in on that by hitting the support button at robkendallshow.com. Oh, this is great. Finally, proof of what I've been saying for years. Holcomb was a horrific governor and had no idea what he was doing. We're going to tell you about that in just a second. Simply an admission yesterday from the state of India. They didn't say it like that, but old Uncle Rob, he'll tell you what they were saying without saying it. But first, you guys got a leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home? Bramwell McKay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell McKay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell McKay, BRAMWELLMCKAY, BramwellMcKay.com, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialist. Okay, big day yesterday. The state of Indiana finally admitted what I've told you guys for years. Holcomb was a horrific governor. He was lazy. He didn't care at all about accountability. He ran our state into the ground. Now, they didn't use those words, but that's what they admitted yesterday, and I'll tell you what it was here in just a second. But we are going to look. I don't know how historians, if you get honesty from historians anymore, you used to. I think a lot of historians are politically motivated now. But 20 years from now, if historians accurately tell the story of Holcomb, it was the end of Indiana as we knew it. This state would have been infinitely better had John Gregg been the governor in 2016. I'm not saying Gregg would have been a good governor. I'm saying it would have been infinitely better. Eric Holcomb did irreparable harm to this state, and I'm not just talking about COVID. COVID's its own thing. I'm talking about the day-to-day policies of the state of Indiana. You look at what the monster that the IEDC has become. Holcomb. You look at the tax increases. Holcomb. You look at the growth of government. Holcomb. And one of the biggest mistakes that Holcomb made, and I don't even think it's a mistake. I think a mistake is something you don't mean to do. I think Holcomb knew exactly what he was doing. One of the biggest tragedies that Holcomb enacted on our state, I don't even know what the right word would be, is him running the Medicaid system in this state into the ground because he wanted everybody to love him. He was legalized vote buying 247, baby. And Holcomb wanted as many people on the Medicaid rolls because he wanted you to believe you could get something for nothing. And a big part of COVID was making you believe that you could lose your job, you could have your business shut down, you could lose your income. But hey, government's going to take care of you. Government's got you, buddy. And a big part of that was, hey, we'll just throw all these people on the Medicaid rolls and you'll get your insurance for free or reduced cost, and you won't see what we're actually doing here because it's not affecting you. And so really, starting all the way back in 2017, but then on steroids in 2020 and beyond, the Holcomb administration was just throwing people who had no business being on the Medicaid rolls on the Medicaid rolls. To the point where Medicaid was, Medicaid itself can't go under, but the state had essentially $1 billion problem. And we saw the steps the state started taking and had to take under Braun's first year. Now, what was ironic about all of this is the one thing I'll remove Braun from and actually say he's done a pretty good job on. What was ironic to me, though, was all of these lawmakers who sat around and did nothing or were a part of the problem, putting all these people on the Medicaid rolls, now taking a victory lap over getting all these people off the Medicaid rolls. Hey, sure, we created the problem. Sure, we watched this idiot do all of this and didn't do anything about it, but we've solved the problem, baby. When the problem was we let able-bodied people who should have been working get on the Medicaid rolls. And their solution, because they didn't want to throw all the able-bodied people off at the same time because, well, those people vote, was we're going to screw people like Debbie Holcomb, who's had to essentially give up her life to take care of Michael. And we start taking money from those people. Because, heaven forbid we just tell everybody, go to work, who can work. And so yesterday, according to the Indiana Capital Chronicle, the Indiana Family and Social Services Administration returned $310 million to the state's general fund this year, a dramatic turnaround from an agency once down $1 billion in a deficit facing Medicaid. They went from just getting rid of Holcomb. That's it. That's all that changed. Braun went in, put a new guy in charge, and in 1.5 years, they went from a $1 billion deficit to returning $310 million. That tells you how incompetent Holcomb was. That guy didn't give a damn about anybody's money. He didn't give a damn about government accountability. He cared about, tell me how great I am. Tell me how much you like me. Let me see all the stuff that I can do for you. Guys, I'm no math wizard. But $1 billion down to $310 million return, that's a $1.3 billion difference. The FSA secretary credited the reversal to a series of reforms the agency enacted during his tenure. And when you hear these things, you're like, we weren't doing these? Like, there's nothing here where you're like, I mean, it's good this guy's doing this. It's good we're doing this now. But before you go, we weren't doing this? Regular financial reviews. Seems pretty common sense. Must return mailers. Seems pretty common sense. Stricter oversight of applied behavioral analysis therapy and urging senior Medicaid members to enter into dual enrollment with Medicare. Again, pretty common sense. And they didn't even change any eligibility. This is basic stuff that our state was not doing under Holcomb. Because Holcomb was lazy. Holcomb was arrogant. Holcomb is a moron. He'd never run anything. What'd he do? He was a party guy. He was party chair under Daniels. Well, he was a Daniels assistant. He was a party chair under Daniels. He was Dan Coates' assistant. And then was dead last in a U.S. Senate race before he magically got picked to be lieutenant governor by Mike Pence. That's the Holcomb story. Why would anybody think that guy could have run anything? And yet the Republicans just let him do it. It comes back to how we started the show, talking about how Braun, the Republicans in the General Assembly, letting Braun brazenly break the law, letting Braun brazenly do something he can't do. Anytime the General Assembly sees something bad going on, whether it's legal or not, they have an obligation to step in and stop it. And in this case, the General Assembly was fine to let Holcomb do all the stuff during COVID because they didn't want the heat. They didn't want the smoke. They didn't want the accountability of good government that would have come during COVID, because the reality was, and we're all paying for it now, that's the thing. Every single one of us is paying for it now, for the bad government under COVID at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level. But the Republicans, they didn't want the pressure of being honest about the impact of shutting down a society during COVID. And they said, if he wants the power, if he wants the play, if he wants the authority, if he wants the heat, let him have it. And then we'll just sit back and go, it seems kind of bad. Somebody should do something. If only somebody would step up. FSSA reported a 23% decline in Medicaid enrollment since Braun took office last January. More proof of what we've been saying. Holcomb was just throwing people on the rolls left and right, no oversight. And by the way, I don't blame the people who got the benefit. They're not to blame. The government who gave the benefit is who's to blame. Listen to these numbers. By the way, on Wednesday, the FSSA secretary referenced a report from the Paragon Health Institute finding Indiana ranked third in the nation for improper Medicaid expansion enrollment. Let me repeat that again. The Paragon Health Institute finding Indiana ranked third in the nation for improper Medicaid expansion enrollments. When we hear about Democrat state this and Democrat state that, Indiana's way worse. Sometimes we don't want to look in the mirror and admit the obvious. Third in the nation, that means we're way behind a lot of Democrat states. But you'll just hear, can't have a Democrat in there, things could get way worse. Well, a lot of Democrat states are way better than us on this. Listen to this number. State and federal spending on the Healthy Indiana plan grew from $2.9 billion in 2017 to an estimated $6.4 billion in 2027. In 10 years, we will have more than doubled the socialized medicine spending in the state of Indiana. How is that possible? Why is that happening? It can't. If we have that many more poor, sick people, we need to know why. The answer is not that. The answer is that we have created a system through our government in which medical costs are completely out of control. The check and balance on medical costs, which is subsidized by the government and empowered and emboldened by laws created by the government, is completely out of control. And they rise and they skyrocket in many cases every single year. Couple that with the fact that we have a whole bunch of people still, even though they've kicked all these people off, who still have no business getting taxpayer-funded insurance, taxpayer-funded health care. They're able-bodied, they can work, they're choosing not to. They're choosing not to work at a place that will provide them insurance. We are still allowing that with many people. And we pay for it. It's doubled. That's not inflation, guys. Inflation has not doubled in 10 years. It's high. It ain't that high or anywhere close. That is the legacy of Holcomb. The legacy of Eric Holcomb is a guy who didn't care at all about anybody but himself and how he was viewed related to how much of other people's stuff he could give away. Every facet of our government is worse or was worse under Eric Holcomb than when he came in. And I'm just talking the day-to-day operations of government. I'm not even talking the lockdowns, the mandates, the mask wearing, all of that stuff. The business closures, none of that. I'm talking about the actual implementation of government. I mean, I've told this story before. When I first met my wife, she worked for the state of Indiana. And she said that state government was such a joke during COVID that she would just go in there and sit around and there was no one else there. They wouldn't give her anything to do. She would just find stuff to do because she loved her job. She was passionate about trying to do the job the right way. That's why she got out of there as fast as she could. She said it was a disaster. No oversight, nobody holding anybody accountable. Everybody just did whatever they wanted to do. And for most people, it wasn't coming in, finding things to do. It was a lot of people sitting at home doing nothing. I mean, it messed with her psyche. She was like, why aren't we doing stuff? We can work. We should be working. Give me something to do, please. Nope. Not going to have that. And I'm going to guess it wasn't just the agency that she worked for. Going to take a real guess on that one. That she's not the exception. Hey guys, it's the Rob Kendall Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Indiana news and politics and government you're not going to find anywhere else. You know, many homeowners are sitting on more equity than they realize. If you've owned your home for a few years, now may be a good time to explore your options. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage is a local mortgage advisor helping Central Indiana homeowners refinance to access cash for home improvements, consolidate higher interest debt, or simply review whether a better loan structure is available. Gary believes every homeowner deserves a personalized mortgage review, not a one-size-fits-all solution from a call center. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more. Loansbygary.homes to learn more. Gary Tedrow, Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 179207, equal housing lender. All right. When we come back, Tom Bartelt of the Property Rights Alliance is going to be with us talking about the latest on the Mid-States Corridor, that multi-billion-dollar plan to connect 64 and 69 in the southwest part of the state. The residents down there vehemently against it, but it'll definitely help the governor's business. And you know, one of the things I love about our show, we have regular people on. They're not skilled politicians. They're not trained public speakers. These are just real people telling their stories, fighting for their lives, fighting for their farms, fighting against the government. Tom Bartelt, Property Rights Alliance, joins us next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
If authentic wood-smoked barbecue is your thing, Double D's Barbecue in Clayton is the place for you. Owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, are from Memphis. So when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. No pellet smokers, no roasters, just authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. All of Double D's food is cooked fresh daily, and it's all made from scratch. Double D's Barbecue, located at 40 and 39 in Clayton, is open all day, Wednesday through Saturday, but get there early because once they're sold out, they're done. Check out the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more at ddbbq317.com.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Is the inside of your house a total mess, like a complete dumpster fire? Call AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. When you walk into your house after using AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, you will see and smell the difference. They take great pride in their workers and treat your home like their own. All cleaners pass through a background check and drug screening. Call today and mention you heard about AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning on the Rob Kendall Show, and you will get an incredible $50 off your first clean. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning serves all of Central Indiana. Book your appointment today by calling 317-530-8148. 317-530-8148. Welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. You know, one of the issues near and dear to our heart here on the Rob Kendall Show is stopping that dirty, rotten, no good mid-states corridor in which billions of taxpayer dollars are going to go to a road to connect 64 and 69 in southern Indiana that not a lot of people down there really seem to want, except for the governor and some of his buddies. One of the guys who's been fighting this thing basically from the beginning, Tom Bartelt, retired farmer down in southwest Indiana, and you know, we're hearing rumblings that while we stopped it for now, that it may be fired back up again. I said, anywhere, it's like Batman. Anytime we hear mid-states corridor coming back, we put the Rob Kendall Show signal up into the sky and we cover it again. Tom, hello.
Hello.
So tell us how you kind of got involved, because there's such a great group in southwest Indiana that's down there fighting the mid-states corridor. How and why did you become part of that group, kind of one of the leaders of the group?
Well, after they passed the Senate Bill 128 in 2017, which enabled the what they call a public-private partnership, where basically they allowed public money to start a project and allow them to design and build a road through other people's property.
And Braun this is key, because Braun was in the House at the time. This was his deal.
It was authored in the Senate by Mark Messmer,
right,
who is now the congressman.
Right.
It was sponsored in the House by Mike Braun.
That's right. Okay. So these two guys were in cahoots together, and it seemed to work out pretty well for them.
Right. Now, after that, they managed to form the RDA, got the counties involved.
Regional Development Authority.
Regional Development Authority.
That's right.
They got a bunch of other businesses to join because they told them, we're just going to do a study. And
it never stops at a study.
They just kept saying, we're going to do a study, until they had their first public meeting. And then they said, basically, it's too far along. You can't stop it.
And you guys said, yes, we can.
We're good. There are a lot of good Germans down there. They just said, hold my stein.
How long did it take you guys to sort of put a group together? Because I'm fascinated by this, about activism, about public involvement. It's hard to get it a lot of times, but your group down there is one of the most impressive assimilations of people I've ever seen. Kind of talk about how that group got put together down there.
Well, there was a group that started before I got involved called Stop the Mid-States Corridor Project, which had basically been working since 2017 on it. And when it looked like it was going to get basically after the public meeting and they said there's nothing you could do about it, they decided they needed to get more active. So they talked to a few people who were heavily involved, or, either environmentalists, people who are fighting big government, or landowners like me. And they basically, we started with, I think, about 20 people at the first meeting. It's most of our meetings now, there's about 100 people.
That's awesome. And, Jason, when he went down there, when we saw the old radio show, I know he interviewed you and many others. I said, man, this is amazing. Were you surprised? This is what blew my mind. So, we in the media here in Indianapolis, if it does not happen around here, we don't know about it. But I expect my lawmakers to know about what's going on in the state because they're funding projects around the state. And until we covered it up here, how clueless on this so many of the lawmakers even were.
What made it especially maddening to us is you would think that the House Transportation Committee would know about it because one of our representatives sits on the House Transportation Committee, and he never mentioned a word about it.
One of you guys from Southwest Indiana.
I think he was there to keep it quiet.
Yeah. Well, and then, you had like Jim Pressel, who's the head of transportation.
Right.
Acting just totally kind of clueless about all this. Now, ultimately, it seems like he came down on the right side, but it just amazed me that you're talking about billions of dollars altogether, hundreds of millions of state dollars at least, and these lawmakers, until the Indianapolis radio station covers it, are like, what was this?
It was a very deliberate attempt to sneak this in and get it started before they realized what was going on, so they couldn't stop it.
Do you have a theory? I mean, there's the obvious theory, right? But I want to see if that's where you come down on why they've been so adamant about doing this in the face of such intense local opposition that spans across counties. The locals there do not want this road. And if I'm looking where I'm going to allocate hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, I'd prefer it to be things that people actually want.
To us, it seems like it is a very small group of very wealthy individuals who want more money, and they're not worried about whose lives they ruin to get it. Is that it, right? It's going to make their businesses more profitable by having this road. It's going to make trucking companies more profitable, and the main people pushing it are either own a trucking company, a oil distribution company who supplies diesel to the trucks. There's banks that loan money and, make money off the trucking companies. And one member of the RDA just happens to be the head of a road construction company that would make millions if this road is built.
No conflict of interest there. Hey, how about that? Well, and then you mentioned stuff like that. I go back to like the property tax battle last year, where you've got Scott Baldwin, who's a state senator, who runs a construction management company, makes huge money off of local government projects funded by taxpayer dollars, and then votes in favor of the local governments and against the people. And somehow that's not a conflict of interest. And it sounds like something similar with that.
Well, the way I've been reading the state ethics laws, if you have a conflict of interest, you're supposed to file a notice.
You sure are.
I haven't seen one from Mike Braun.
Which is wild. And we want to point out to people that they interviewed Braun's family in the process of putting the design, et cetera, together for this road. And I think it's Braun's son is the one in the document. And he's very adamant this will help our family business.
Yes. And it's not going to hurt the farmers that much because they can plant corn in the median. NDOT pretty well corrected him, saying that's not legal.
Yeah, the Brauns, the great family farming from the Braun family. Tom Bartelt is our guest, retired farmer, Southwest Indiana. We're talking about latest with the Mid-States Corridor project. Let's talk about the legal battle, the cost associated with this. Todd Rokita took you guys to court.
Yes.
Which is fascinating to me. Hardworking Hoosiers, and Rokita's like, we're going in front of a judge. What happened?
They wanted to do the survey for the road. There is a very specific legal way they're supposed to do it. They were not following the rules. we sent them, basically everyone who was sued sent them a cease and desist letter saying, you're not following the rules. We don't want you on our property.
They've got to, there is a certain process they have to go through in order to be able to survey your land.
They are supposed to give us 5 days of written notice by mail. They are supposed to attempt to contact us when they come onto the property and let us know they're going to be on the property. And they're supposed to let us know when they leave.
They weren't doing that.
Basically, Lockmuller was using a bunch of subcontractors to do the surveying. And they basically told him, everything's taken care of, just go do the survey. And, you know,
and you guys said,
one time last October, my neighbor called me and said, surveyors just went on your property. I went to find them, and it happened to be very close to where I happened to be deer hunting at the time.
Oh, no.
And, you know, if they had wandered in front of me.
Yeah.
I mean, that was dangerous.
Right.
I sent a very strongly worded letter to Lockmuller's and sent a carbon copy of it to the lawyer. Said, you're putting these people in danger. You need to let me know when you're coming on my property because there's people hunting.
Right.
And after that, I did actually get a in-person visit the day before any time a surveyor was going to come on my property.
But it ended up in court, right? Rokeet ended up taking you guys to court?
Yes. And you know,
over what? They didn't want to follow the law, and so he's like, I'm on their side. What happened?
Well, state law says we have to allow them to get on the survey. We said we don't want you on the property. So they took us to court to force us to allow them on the property.
Okay.
We knew that we would lose because it's the law. But we were trying to get them to follow the law too and do it the right way.
Yeah, basically saying you got to give the notice, you got to contact us. You don't just get to do whatever you want to do. And this is the only way we're going to get you guys to follow the law.
Right.
Crazy stuff. Tom Bartelt is our guest. We're talking about the Mid-States Corridor. How much damage has there been to crops because of all of this? Because I would think if you got to go out and survey, you got to get in the fields. You got to. Has there been damage to the crops because of this?
There has been some damage on our farm. They waited until after the crops were out of the field. I did ask them to do that, and they did respect that. I have a neighbor who had a wheat field. They were in there chopping that down. He turned in a damage claim to the state, which they have to pay if they do damage to our property.
Sure, they get right on that.
Yeah. I don't know if he's holding his breath waiting for that check, but, you know, it's.
You seem just so tired of all of this. And a lot of people we talk to, now, you know McCoy, our buddy McCoy, he'll fight all day, every day. But there's just like the people down there, they're just like, we cannot believe we have to keep going through this thing. Every time we seem like we get a victory, then it just comes back up again.
Right. You know, they just recently released a statement that it's going to serve $8 billion or create $8 billion in economic benefit to the survey area. The survey area is 12 counties. This is affecting one county. The model that they use has been proven to inflate the values in rural counties, and they get their data from the trucking companies who want the road.
Yes, right. Yeah, it's a very unbiased group of people.
So, I mean, plus we can't look at the data until after the report's released, so we can't verify that it's accurate.
Okay, so Abdul in the cheat sheet, one of the reasons I wanted to have you back on is it seems like it's coming back. We're hearing rumblings because it basically got stopped in the late spring. Then there was this part of the Bears Stadium bill said any project over $250 million has to go in front of the state budget committee. That was clearly for this project. And I said, they'll be back. Abdul came up with some theory based on people he was talking to that they're potentially going to try to privately fund the road now, and that would eliminate a whole bunch of governmental hurdles in the state budget committee, and then there was the INDOT would be involved with land acquisition, all this other stuff. What have you guys heard anything about that now?
We have heard that too. We have also heard from legislators who say that even if that is privately funded, the wording of the law still requires it to go before the budget committee, because it is a state project of over $250 million. This law does not say anything about state funded. It just says a state project over $250 million. So we're still hopeful that it's stopped.
Are your local governments behind you guys? Like the cities, the towns, the counties, are they with you guys or are they with the state?
The Dubois County Council voted to drop their membership in the RDA. We have worked them for a long time. We did show them how much damage this is actually going to do to the county. I mean, it's going to help the trucking companies. It's going to hurt the county. And, we did convince them to withdraw their membership from the RDA. So technically the RDA should be done, but Todd Rokita put an opinion that you have to wait 12 months before you can disband the RDA.
He seems very on the side of making sure this road gets built somehow.
The other county who is involved with the RDA is Spencer County. There's not a square foot of land in Spencer County that's going to be affected by this project. But
they get a say.
And when they did vote to keep the RDA. And at the meeting where they voted on it, the president of the council said, Ken Mulzer says we should keep this project. Ken Mulzer is the one who is on the RDA that owns the road construction company. And Spencer County did what he wanted them to do. We presented them the same information as Dubois County. They didn't pay attention to it. They just listened to what Ken Mulzer wanted. How engaged are you guys still as your group? Are you still having your monthly meetings? Are you guys still unified? Because I feel like you guys can just never stop at this point. We meet bi-weekly. A lot. We were meeting at the Schnitzelbank. We've outgrown that.
I love that you have your meetings at a place called the Schnitzelbank. I love that.
I miss it because it has such great food. But we're now meeting at another location owned by the same owner as the Schnitzelbank. So
you guys have grown so much that you've had to get a bigger location.
Basically an event center now instead of a restaurant. And we're still getting most meetings. We've got 80 to 100 people.
I don't know if you're a betting man, Tom. But if you were, what side are you betting on? Do you think they're ultimately going to be able to ram this thing through, or do you think the opposition remains so great that you guys are going to be able to keep a front up strong enough to stop it? Because it just seems like they're never stopping.
They've been going at this for 40 years. We've stopped them every time so far. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to do everything we can to stop it.
If you were to be objective, which I get you can't be, right? It's your property, it's your land. Is there any actual benefit to the road? Like if you could be objective and say, okay, yeah, all this is bad, but this would actually benefit. Because I think about myself, and I love you guys, and you guys are awesome. I just don't see any benefit to me as a taxpayer. And so for the people in Indianapolis who may not live down there, is there any benefit?
There's a benefit to the taxpayers that just happen to own trucking companies.
How much, because this wouldn't save all that much time, right? That's the thing. They're sold on how much time this road would save.
They released a report that said it's going to save 41 minutes.
You buying that?
The way they figured that up is it's going to save 3 minutes if you go from downtown Jasper to Crane. It's going to save 3 minutes if you go from downtown Jasper to Bloomington. It's going to save 3 minutes if you go from downtown Jasper to Indianapolis. And it's going to save 3 minutes if you go from downtown Jasper to Chicago. They
just added them all together.
That's 12 minutes of total savings. But that wasn't enough, so they picked a second location in Jasper. This is Northeast Jasper, which I'm sure it was just a coincidence. That's right where Governor Braun has his warehouses. And from that location, it's 3 minutes to all those other locations. So now you've got 24 minutes of savings.
Oh,
they could get whatever the number they wanted. Yeah. They just had to add additional destinations.
What do you guys need to stop this? Like, what has to happen? What do you feel like is still out there that hasn't been done to say, okay, we're done with this thing?
I'm not going to be comfortable that it's done until NDOT announces that it is done and Mike Braun is no longer governor.
Yeah, that's the big one, right? As long as Braun is the governor, there's always a chance this thing comes back.
As long as Braun is governor, he is going to try to find some way to work around this, try to sneak in the financing somewhere. I mean, his goal originally was to get construction started next summer. which just happened to be before the election.
You're right. Just
and then he could say, well, it's already started. You can't stop it now.
How much do you think Braun's subservience on redistricting, because he screwed up at one point and said, we're going to miss out on all these projects potentially, or all this money. And people were like, well, what project? And he's like, well, I didn't really mean that. And then Beckwith, his lieutenant governor, was like, yeah, I was in the meetings. They said that. How much do you think Braun's total subservience to Trump is about wanting the money and the paperwork and to get this thing done?
I think that this road has been the main reason for Braun's entire political career.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
State House, Senate, governorship.
Even his switching from the Democratic Party to the Republicans because he knew he couldn't get along with the Democrats.
That's so wild. Wow.
I mean, and I think it's also Mark Messmer's main thing.
How does he benefit off of it?
I'm not sure. He's just in that cabal that
yeah.
I'm sure that there's some way he's going to benefit, but he's not going to be the big beneficiary, but I'm sure he's got something. I know he has been buying up land near where the corridor is going to go.
I want to, before we let you go, I think it's like people hear these big things and they don't have the personalized touch they need sometimes. Can you tell us a little bit about how your property would be affected by this? And I don't want people to hear this and imagine if it was your house.
Okay. Our farm, it's been in our family since 1851. So
wow. Sure. So the same thing?
So it's 175 years old this year.
Wow.
We've got 7 Hoosier Homestead Awards for owning the property more than 100 or more than 150 years. I think we're qualified for more, but I just haven't done the research because you have to go through handwritten deeds from the 1800s, and some of the recorders had very poor handwriting. But if this road goes through, it's going to go diagonally through the farm, which is absolutely the worst thing you could do. We will not have direct access from one side of the farm to the other. It could take close to 1/4 of our property. My sister's house is in the path of one of the alternatives. The other alternative is going to be so close to my house that the only thing I would be able to see looking out my window is my farm being destroyed. So I've already decided if that happens, I can't live in that house.
Right. And your whole life is that property. It's been your whole life.
Any farmer, his life is his farm. You take away his farm, you're destroying his life. And, agriculture is the most essential industry in any civilization. I mean, you can do without the data centers. People can live without the solar farms that they're destroying agricultural land for. We can even live without lift kits for our Jeeps, which the governor may not believe, but
we had a friend years ago, no farm, no food.
Yeah. Everybody needs food, and agriculture is food.
And one of the things that why I have a personal interest in this is we talk a lot about, especially here in central Indiana, the death of the character of the area and the communities in which all of this farm ground, you see LEAP, things like that have been gobbled up. People have sold out. You guys are fighting to hang on to that land and hang on to that area. And that's very rare now. Most people take the cash, they take the money, they give in, they go. And you guys are saying, no, this stuff that has defined our communities still matters. And I think we gotta fight with you guys in any way possible for that.
Yeah. If it was about the cash for me, I would have solar panels on my farm.
Right.
They pay a whole lot better than farming does. We had one of the proponents of the road saying, oh, we'll benefit so much for it. Just look at what the roads have done up in Hamilton County. We don't want Hamilton County.
That's the thing, right? They think they know what's best for you rather than you saying, I like the life I have now.
They think farmland is wasted space.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. All right. Anything else people need to know? Because we always value these conversations we have, and you guys come up from Southwest Indiana, so we want to make the most of it. Anything we haven't gotten to yet that you say people definitely need to know about this as far as it's related to the Mid-States Corridor?
Whenever we get this road stopped, we really need the legislature to revisit the 2017 Senate Bill 128.
That allowed for the creation of these regional development authorities.
Yeah, which created the public-private partnerships.
Right.
I mean, the process that it enabled is a small group of wealthy individuals made money available to the INDOT through a third party, the RDA. For that, INDOT has been helping them plan and build a road through other people's property. They've made it their top priority, and they've shelved hundreds of other projects to make this possible.
And that's the thing people need to realize. They created special legislation to do this. If they had not done that, we wouldn't be here doing this right now. It hasn't been organically that this happened. They had to create the mechanism.
I mean, the process sounds to me a lot like the definition of bribery and money laundering. but the government's doing it, so it's legal.
We say that about IEDC all the time. That if
I mean,
they get away with it because they're the government.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the government should be involved in anything that destroys farmland because farmland is way too important to destroy. I mean, we've got, thousands of acres in Dubois County right now are being destroyed by solar farms.
Yeah,
and we've heard rumors of data centers looking at our area.
So they'll find you. You don't have to find them.
And we've had people say, well, the farmers can just get more land and farm somewhere else. Every available acre in Dubois County that can be farmed is being farmed.
Right.
And nobody's going to give up their land for somebody else because they just keep saying, they can do that somewhere else.
Right.
Problem is somewhere else, somebody's saying the same thing, and eventually you run out of somewhere else.
Support the farmers, support property rights, support these people. They're fighting a good battle. Tom Bartelt, thank you, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
In Congress, I get all sorts of insider stock tips. Sure, I cashed in. It's my Beltway bonus. But now here comes Senator Todd Young with his total ban on congressional stock trades.
Freaking Mr. Clean Marine. Todd Young's got real guts taking us on. Young's gonna cost me millions.
Had enough of this? Contact Senator Todd Young to say thanks and let him know that you stand with his plan to ban stock trading for all members of Congress.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Indiana news, politics, and government you're not going to get anywhere else. We're going to talk about this new column in the Indy Star about this Save Heritage Indiana group and that big event on Saturday that they had and the counter protest. We'll talk about that in a moment. By the way, Daniel Pointer, who is the head of Save Heritage Indiana, is going to be with us tomorrow. And we're going to straight up ask him all the stuff because I am sick about hearing that these people are Nazis or KKK people. I'm just going to ask him, are you a Nazi? Are you a member of the KKK? Because it has reached a point of ridiculous, and there's a valuable lesson to be learned from one of these columns written in the Indy Star that we're going to talk about here in a moment. Because it's not just an indictment of them or what I believe are fabrications or embellishments about them. It's an embellishment or a fabrication about you, because I know a lot of you, I am one of them, share a lot of the views that that group has. We're certainly not Nazis. We're certainly not KKK. We're certainly not racist. And if you don't push back against it, then it becomes the narrative. People want to speak stuff into existence, and you got to push back on it. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Before we do, though, this week, some great, amazing specials at the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro in Brazil. Company meatloaf, bacon-wrapped pork medallion with sriracha honey drizzle, salted caramel cheesecake, hummingbird cheesecake, just some of the great specials this week. Get the full menu, and what a dining experience it is. It's on the water, it's out in the woods, you outdoor dining, evening away, chance to get out there, breathe, relax, have a great evening away, and of course, a fabulous made-from-scratch meal. Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Try that company meatloaf. Let me know how it goes. 812-443-3003. That's number for reservations. 812-443-3003. They're open Friday for dinner, Saturday for dinner, Sunday for brunch buffet. All right. So this column actually comes from a guy we had on our show last week. Maybe all these days run together. Michael Hicks, economist, Ball State. Hicks and I, we've sparred for years. We don't agree on a lot of stuff, but he had written a couple of interesting columns. That's the thing about our show. We are the free speech people. And we have people on all the time we don't agree with because we value the discussions. The only way we get better is we have the discussions. But one of the cool things about having people on we don't agree with, we also rip on them all the time. You come on here, it's not a free pass to just do whatever you want to do. And Hicks wrote something that is just absurd. And so we're going to do that. And I think that's part of where society should be, where we have points of commonality. We can talk about them and agree on them. But we also have to be able to say, when people do things we don't agree with, we got to push back on it. And that's what free speech is all about. That's what a polite and a decent society is all about. The ability to have, you shouldn't be wed to one side. You judge every issue as it's in front of you, and you comment and you opine accordingly. And so while I think Hicks was spot on with this column about the damage, the economic damage that the Bears Stadium will do to Indiana taxpayers and the Indiana economy, I think he's dead wrong on this. And he wrote about the dueling events on Saturday, the rally in Fishers for the pro-amnesty people and the Save Heritage Indiana event. Now, to even compare these two things, and look, I don't have any vested interest in this. I'm not a member of Save Heritage Indiana, didn't go to the event, never met the guy. He's going to be in here in a little bit. We're going to record the interview for tomorrow. It'll be the first time I've ever met the dude, Daniel Pointer, the founder. I know a couple of, at least one other person, Nathan Roberts, who was involved with it. He was on our old radio show. Seemed like a pretty nice guy. Certainly didn't seem like a racist or a KKK member. His brother is Nick Roberts, Democrat member of the City County Council. So I don't have any vested interest in whether Save Heritage Indiana is a great group or a bad group or whatever. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I watched or listened to most of the event on Saturday. Didn't listen to it all super close, was doing other stuff. Might have missed something. But by and large, what I heard, it seemed like pretty traditional, conservative, pro-border enforcement, pro-anti-illegal immigration, pro-restrictive, who we let into the country, making sure they're people that want to assimilate, making sure they're people who want to work, learn language, value what it means to be an American. I don't think there's anything in that list that makes you an ist or a phobe or a Nazi or a KKK member or anything else. But that's the narrative now from the left and the people who side with them. And the way it works in our society is you just keep saying something until everybody goes, yeah, okay. The reality is, and this is what Hicks doesn't want to admit, and we'll get into the column here in a moment, what the left doesn't want to admit, the people of Indiana are far more in touch or in tune with the Save Heritage Indiana people than they are the abolish ICE flag wavers at the Fishers rally. I mean, look at the ballot box. The reason the Democrats keep losing in Indiana is they have insane social positions. And I consider amnesty, no borders, I consider that a social position. There's no reason Republicans should keep winning in Indiana. They win because the Democrats and the people who line up with them on the social stuff are wholly unelectable. And the average person quietly looks at the two sides. What choices do I have? Secure my border, get people who broke the law out, tighten up restrictions on who comes in legally, make sure they're going to contribute to our society, or the abolish ICE, no borders, everybody comes and goes as they pleases. They're going to be over here if you make them choose. And the media, a bunch of people in the media, Hicks is one of them, based on this column, don't want to acknowledge that. Immigration in this country, legal and illegal, is out of control. You have tens of millions of people who are in this country illegally. They're lawbreakers. There's no discussion about it. They broke the law. You should not reward people who broke the law. When you go to legal immigration, there's a whole lot of people, probably just as many, who have taken full advantage of ridiculous legal immigration options or legal ways to get into this country, primarily the asylum. J.D. Vance laid out. We played the clip for you a couple days ago about the abuse of asylum fraud, immigration fraud, and they're trying to fix it. Becoming an American should be a privilege, and it should take work. Now, there's a whole bunch of people that are American citizens who were born here who don't value it at all either. I'm not denying that exists. But I can't do anything about that. Supreme Court says you're born here, you stay. I don't necessarily agree with that either. But that's what they say. And so what I can do something about is people who have broken the law that are illegally here, that are not U.S. citizens, and people who have manipulated their way into this country and don't want to assimilate. They don't want to value what it means to be an American. They want to take their cultures that they came from, the way they were doing business over there, and they want to bring it here. I have control over that, or at least we do as a society. And so trying to compare the two events, crowd sizes, whatever, is completely ridiculous. The event, the pro-amnesty, abolish ICE, no borders event in Fishers was a free event. It was publicized. They wanted people to come. The event in Greenfield was a private event. You had to pay to go. They vetted who went, and they weren't trying to draw a massive crowd. They were never like, we're going to have the biggest crowd ever. It's going to be amazing. I said, if I were doing the event, I would have done it that way because I think you would have got a ton of people. I think they missed an opportunity by not doing that. But it's their group. They can do whatever they want. They weren't trying to have 1,000 people there. They were trying to have what they had, which is a private paid event, relatively small in stature, and that's what they did. Hicks doesn't seem to understand that. And I would bet, I don't know this for sure, but unless he watched it via live stream, Hicks didn't see the event, the full event. Here's what Hicks wrote. Hidden to avoid the press, a few dozen souls gathered inside a rented tent to hear Commander Greg Bavino push for the deportation of nearly 1 out of 3 Americans. First of all, we had someone on the show just the other day who was there. He said, I did a hand count. 135 people. If you know Stephen Whitmer, you know he's very into details. I have no doubt there were 135 people on the dot there. That's 11 times 12. A lot more than a few dozen. So that would be, no offense, Mike Hicks, if I'm going to take the word of the guy who was there, who I know is very into details and said he did a hand count and came up with that exact number, I'm going to take that over you looking at a photo with a guy with an opinion and a bias. So I'm going to go with the 135, which is way more than a few dozen. Doesn't matter if there were a few dozen. It's a paid private event that they weren't, super publicized. They weren't even telling people where it was. The second part, hidden to avoid press, no. And we'll get into this with Daniel Pointer. It wasn't hidden to avoid press. They streamed it on the internet, Mike. They so didn't care that people saw it, they put it on the internet. And you can see clips from the event that are out on the internet. That's not true. They hid the event because they didn't want to be harassed. Private event, not an unreasonable exception. And again, I'm not going to bat for these guys. I'm just not going to let some guy write stuff in the paper and be like, oh, sure, we'll just accept that on his face. That's not true. In light of Charlie Kirk, now look, I think sometimes you got to be fearless and you can't worry about the unknown and you got to just trudge ahead. That's sort of been our brand here, right? But these guys said, we're charging people to come. It's not meant to be a mass event, and we don't want to tell people where it's at because we don't want to be harassed, because it would have happened. It would have happened. There would have been people there to start trouble, and they said, this is our event. We're not obligated to invite the media. Everybody could see it for themselves. I certainly did. They weren't hiding anything, so that's not accurate. Second part. I watched the event, not the whole thing, not every second of it. I had it on, I was cleaning, watching the baby tyrant, all the other stuff. But I had it on. At no point did I hear anyone talk about deporting or pushing to deport anyone but people illegally here in the country and people who have abused our system. That's it. That's what I heard. Secure the border, get the people here illegally out of the country who aren't U.S. citizens, and get the people out of here who have broken the law, who are abusing the system, and tighten up the system so we are stricter on who gets in. That's what I heard. If he'd like to point me to something else, I'm all ears to hear it. But the majority of what I heard, including the messages from the statewide office holders, was that. And you guys know, I am the last person to defend Rokita or Beckwith. There's plenty of things you can rip on those guys on. You don't got to lie about it. You don't got to fib about it. You don't got to expand the truth on it. Hicks goes on to write, elsewhere in Fishers, close to 1,000 Hoosiers marched to celebrate America's best idea, that, quote, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They're not U.S. citizens. There's a process. See, this is the thing they do, and that's not what the event was about. The event was about anybody comes in that wants to come in, and anybody that tries to stop them, no matter whether they're cartel, violent offender, whatever, you're bad. Abolish ICE. I saw the flags. See, guys like Hicks want to paint this as like, oh, they're just peaceful do-gooders. No, they're for chaos. How would a society, if anybody who can come wants to come, take care of that society? If you had 700 million people in this country, many of them coming from impoverished nations where they have no skill set, no ability to work, no ability to contribute, and mixed in there are a bunch of hyper dangerous lunatics, how would you take care of that? Saying countries have rules, that's not a bad thing. And I'm not going to let Mike Hicks act like those are bad people who say we have to have rules and we have to have laws. Hey, Hicks, how many of these people are living with you? How many illegal immigrants are living with you, Mike Hicks? Why don't you lead by example? Why don't you bring 5 or 6 of them in and tell us how it went for a month? Bet that's not going to happen. But Mike, you could help. All men be created equal, endowed by their creator with certainly inalienable rights. Why don't you give up your house to them, Mike? Where are they supposed to live? That was an open borders event, arguing that anyone should be able to stay regardless of citizenship and that people should be able to do whatever they want, and any government official or any government agent that tries to stop them are the bad guys. Doing the right things the right way doesn't matter. That's what those people believed. Open borders. Come and go as you please. Hicks goes on to write, make no mistake, neither of these events was about illegal immigration. They were about who can and cannot be an American. That's what immigration is, you dumbass. Who can and cannot be American. how you become an American, what it means to be an American, what your responsibility and your role is as an American. Mine, yours, the people who immigrate here, the people who are born here, we all have roles. Now, a lot of people who are born in this country don't live up to them either. I can't do anything about that. But I can do something about people who claim to want to come here and then they try to make here like where they came from. People who break the law. I can do something about that. That's what immigration is. Who can and who cannot be an American? Supreme Court affirmed everybody born here can stay here and is an American. Everybody else, up to us. We decide. The people of this country, via our lawmakers, we pick. He goes on to write, those words of our Declaration of Independence are precisely what the Save Heritage Indiana gathering seeks to deny. To them, being fully American requires a special pedigree. It's a noxious idea, un-American, foul, bitter, and sterile, like those who hold it. So Mike Hicks thinks you're foul, you're sterile, bitter. Now, he had every opportunity to say that to my face just a week ago, and he didn't. Well, through a camera. Didn't mention any of that. He knows what my opinion on this stuff is. If you believe that you have a right to know who's coming into our country and making sure that they're not dangerous and making sure that they're going to be law-abiding and making sure they're going to contribute and making sure they're going to work and they're going to learn language and they're going to assimilate, Mike Hicks believes you are foul, bitter, and sterile. He said it. Now, I'm a free speech guy, so he's got the right to say it. I'm not somebody who's like, the Star should get rid of him. But that's one of the good things about these people is you let them talk long enough, they'll tell you what they are. If you're for borders, if you're for sanity, if you're for security, if you're for having rules and regulations and knowing who comes into your country, you are foul, you are bitter, and you are sterile. And you're un-American and noxious. When he says special pedigree, what I heard from Save Heritage Indiana is assimilation. Respecting and melding into the ideals and the values that have sustained our country for 250 years. That means stuff like if you're an American, you learn English, you work, you behave. You don't block traffic for 5 miles for a referendum in India. But to Mike Hicks, if you believe in those things, you're sterile, you're foul, you're un-American, you're bitter, you're noxious. Those ideals are apparently super offensive to a guy like Mike Hicks. Then he writes this. Moreover, it must be said, Braun isn't welcomed in the Heritage Indiana movement. His many personal achievements in public service don't matter to them. He is Catholic. The assembled folks in that tent might not even believe he is Christian, much less worthy of full citizenship. Isn't welcome. They literally invited him to attend. They literally invited him to speak. They invited him to do a video. They were then upset he didn't participate. They were publicly upset after inviting him to participate in person and via video. That's the exact opposite, Mike Hicks, of not welcome. See, this is what always happens. People come up with their own narrative, what they desire, and then they just say things. And if enough of us say it, then it'll become reality and everybody will believe it. You may be able to get away with that some places, not here. Look, I'm not a part of that group. I don't know those people. I'm going to meet the founder for the first time coming up here in a little bit for tomorrow's show. I got no vested interest in it other than I'm sick of people saying things when I've observed it with my own eyes that are not true, and then if I just say it enough, it'll be true. That doesn't fly here. Mike Braun was invited to the event. They attempted to welcome him to the event. He chose not to go. That's his right. The same way as Jim Banks chose not to go. That's his right. Do whatever you want to do. But the attempt that you have to realize when they're trying to paint these Save Heritage Indiana people with this broad brush of ist and phobe, and now Hicks doesn't use the word Nazi or KKK that I saw in the article, but others certainly have. I know you watching or listening to me right now, there's a good chance you agree, publicly or privately, with a lot of what these people stand for, which is not racist, it's not bigoted, it's not xenophobic, it's common sense. Now, maybe you don't agree with everything they stand for. We're going to find out exactly what they stand for. What are the exact things? Maybe you'll agree with a lot of them. Maybe you'll agree with some of them. But the basic core principle of what I've heard from these people, which is borders matter and should be enforced. Coming here is a privilege, not a right. You will do certain things to come into this country, like learn our language, assimilate our cultures, work, contribute, not be a burden. You have to prove you can do those things. That's common sense. Every country should want people who wants to be like them to come to their country. They're coming there because of the country that has been created. I'm not going to tolerate for a second guys like Hicks trying to say anything other than that. That's what I heard on Saturday. I watched the meeting. We'll find out if there's something else at play here. The Save Heritage people don't seem to be running from anyone. I messaged the guy, and literally within like 2 minutes, he responded to me. Because I hear about secret society this. Because I was thinking, I said, well, for being in secret, it was streamed on the internet. That didn't seem to be too secret. These guys are hiding in the shadows. I said, all right, I'll message the guy. A couple minutes later, happy to come on. Let me know when and where. That doesn't sound very in the shadows to me. It sounds like a guy who's like, I like to tell you what I think, what we're about. You have to push back when the left does this, because what they keep doing is trying to speak something that is not real into existence. If you don't speak up on it, they're indicting you is what they're doing. That's what they're doing. You have to speak up, if not for those people, for yourself. Common sense does not make you a bad person. Something else that doesn't make you a bad person? Checking out our fabulous friends at Double D's Southern Barbecue in Clayton. Memphis-style barbecue. Authentic, wood-smoked. They had a big old powwow yesterday. Bunch of people. Bartelt went. A couple of spray jockey. Ingle was there. You guys love Double D's, and they love you. I talked to Tina yesterday, one of the owners. She was like, man, your audience is just the best. It's been the best experience. You guys are amazing. Check it out. Today, the special, loaded baked potato. It's on 40 right there in Clayton. A little bit of a drive. The atmosphere is amazing. Service is great. Winner best ribs, best sauce at Rib Fest in Hendricks County. Make the drive. Check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think. Everybody so far that's gone, I mean, a whole bunch of you. Like, yeah, you're right. This place is amazing. Double D's is awesome. See the full menu. Maybe the loaded baked potato isn't your thing. Lots of options. Ribs, brisket, and more. DDBBQ317.com. That's the website. DDBBQ317.com is the website. All right, we'll take another break. We'll be back. A lot more to go. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
In Congress, I get all sorts of insider stock tips. Sure, I cashed in. It's my Beltway bonus. But now here comes Senator Todd Young with his total ban on congressional stock trades.
Freaking Mr. Clean Marine. Todd Young's got real guts taking us on. Young's gonna cost me millions.
Had enough of this? Contact Senator Todd Young to say thanks and let him know that you stand with his plan to ban stock trading for all members of Congress.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Indiana news, politics, and government you're not going to find anywhere else. Great news we're about to tell you about. If you're a taxpayer in Marion County, you might be about to dodge a bullet. And this might be good news for the rest of us because bad government spreads like the plague. And we might be about to avoid some bad government the government will still be bad. It'll be just less expensive. Bad government, but less expensive. By the way, my wife just sent me a text. We have that thing where you can look and see what's coming to your house in the mail. Do you have that service? There's the mail comes to your house, right? Oh, that's it? There's a post office has a service where you can see what's coming to your house. And I'm getting a letter today from Micah Beckwith. I guarantee it's to ask for money. No. It's not a personal letter. I guarantee it's to ask for money. So I'm going to bring it in and shred that tomorrow. All the crap that guy and his people have talked, and he's going to send me a letter asking for money. So I can't wait to open that one. We'll read that tomorrow on the air. She sent me a text. She goes, "This is coming to our house today." Same rules apply that apply to the radio station. I don't open the mail, by the way. Wife opens all the mail. So. Hey, before we get to what's going on with the city of Indianapolis, because this is going to be very interesting and affect a lot of the audacity, right? And I get that it's some auto send, but all the crap those guys have talked, and it's going to be a letter. I can almost guarantee you a letter asking for money. Oh, man. Sort of like being back at that church. All-American dog fence. You guys have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure, give you peace of mind anytime they are outside. All-American Dog Fence, they're locally owned. Owners Kelly and Jeff have 3 dogs themselves and so believe in the product, they bought the business. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products, designed and manufactured in the United States with a lifetime warranty. If you got a dog, you got nothing to lose, give them a call. It's a totally free estimate. Learn about the service. They're right here locally. They'd love to get to know you. All-American Dog Fence, Kelly and Jeff, they pride themselves on 2 things: better customer service than the big guys and better price than the big guys. All-American Dog Fence. You call them, you can text them, 317-862-6606, 317-862-6606. Visit their website, allamericandogfence.com. allamericandogfence.com, and listen to this incredible deal. If you guys mention the Rob Kendall Show, you get an incredible $200 off. Just say, because they're fans of our show too. Rob Kendall Show fan here. Heard about you guys on Rob's show. $200 off. 317-862-6606. Okay. So August 10th is going to be the day where the Indianapolis City County Council decides whether they are going to override the veto of Joe Hogsett for the proposed massive wheel tax increase. Reminder, we are talking 5 times. They are raising the tax. The City County Council voted to raise the tax by 5 times the current amount. It'll go from $20 to $100. That's on regular cars. Big items, big trucks, whatever, going to go up to $250. Huge increase there as well. And they're doing this, they say, to raise $50 million to get a state matching fund to repair the roads. So it'd be $100 million to be dedicated to the roads. Now, the state of Indiana, the lawmakers have made very clear it doesn't have to be taxes. You can just put the money from existing money. You can take money that already exists. You can cut expenditures other places. We're just requiring you to put $50 million into a matching pot, and there are very strict rules. You can't use it for bike lanes. You got to use them for the roads. Fix the damn roads. And, you know, so the city county council passes the bill. The mayor, Hogsett, vetoes the bill. And now the city county council has to get a supermajority or 17 of their 25 members to override it. Right now, they count themselves at 15, which means they're too short. And so the Indianapolis Star had a big article today about that. And the vote will be August the 10th. Now, here is what, because Hogsett came out and said, look, we don't need to raise the taxes. We'll find it in the budget. We'll find the $50 million in the budget, and we can save people the tax increase and get this money to do the matching road funding. However, the city county council, the Democrats, because all the Republicans voted no, the city county council is saying, we don't believe you because you haven't shown us in the budget where you're going to do it. Quote, as we begin developing the 2027 budget, the city has not fully identified the resources within the budget to meet the state's required $50 million local match, council Democratic leaders said August 5th. To meet this generational investment without securing new revenue, additional cuts that will have real consequences for residents through reduced services, fewer resources, and potential staffing reductions will need to be identified. Reminder, guys, the city budget is $1.7 billion annually. $1.7 billion annually. $50 million is less than 3%. You're going to tell me you can't find less than 3% of your whole budget where you're like, okay, we've been doing this, but is it really necessary? Is it something we really have to have? Could we do without it for a year or two? There's no way you're going to convince me that that's happening. By the way, just saw the clock struck 11 o'clock. Clock struck 11 o'clock. Try to say that 3 times fast, which means it's hour 3, which means it's brought to you by our great friend, John Rust. John Rust, fabulous supporter of our show. He makes the third hour possible every day. Don't forget, Rust is having that big old event at his place, October the 3rd, Saturday, October the 3rd, noon. It's a party. All the listeners, all the viewers of the Rob Kendall Show are invited. We're going to have patriotic music. We're going to have an antique car show. We're going to have lunch catered by Double D's. We're going to have birthday cake for Jason's birthday. We're going to have me giving a speech. All of it totally free. Great chance for all you Rob Kendall Show fans to come together. No charge. All you got to do is RSVP. rustforamerica@gmail.com. rustforamerica@gmail.com is the email address. Just say, hey, John, here's my name. Here's how many people I'm bringing with me, and you're all invited. Thank you to John Rust for all he does. He has done so much for us, and we wouldn't be able to be here doing what we're doing right now without him. Thank you to John Rust, sponsor of Hour 3 of the Rob Kendall Show, and come to the party Saturday, October the 3rd at the palatial Rust Estate in Seymour. Okay, so getting back to the City County Council, we're talking 3%, less than 3%. You're telling me of the entire city budget, there's not like 2.8, 2.9% of expenses that you're like, okay, maybe we can do without that. Maybe a few less staplers over here, a few less paper pallets over here, whatever, right? Come on, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. I think it's a want to. They don't want to do it. Councilor Michael Paul Hart, according to the Star, who's a Republican, has presented a plan which he says would generate more than $90 million in revenue, contribute to the program in the first 2 years, and over $100 million for 3 years. So he's saying, I have a plan that will mostly fund this thing through the first 2 years. Hart said the city could cut about $25 million in annual income collections from other services, right? So now we're down to like, if you do $25 million in cuts, what is that? About 1.5% of the overall budget? Seems pretty doable. And then he said that the rest of the money would direct half of the roughly 5% growth that's projected in Marion County income tax revenue towards road repairs. So he's saying, okay, we're going to cut 1.5% of our budget, and we get this growth every year. We're going to take half of it and say that's going to roads. We're going to be a little more responsible with the growth of government going forward, and we're going to cut a little bit in year one, and then bam, problem solved. And the city county council Democrats are like, no, we're not doing that. That sounds like work. We're not work people. That sounds like effort. We're not effort people. Shut up and pay. I mean, it sounds like he's got a, pretty decent proposal out there. You could do this without raising taxes. You can do this without raising taxes. It's a matter of not wanting to. And of course, and this always happens in the government. And the reason we're spending time on this is if this succeeds, other cities, other towns are going to start. They already are starting to. We've seen Greenwood. We've seen Beech Grove. Other cities and towns are going to do this. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And we need these to fail in as many places as possible to stop other cities, to send a message. So whether you live in Indianapolis or not, this is a big deal for you. And of course, Democrats are doing this. Is what government always does. When they don't get their way, it's the doomsday scenario. Look, I guarantee you, especially under the Hart plan, you could find $25 million and not know it's missing. No vital service has to be cut. No public safety has to be harmed. Nothing. But that's not the way government works. The way government works is if you don't do what they say, you feel the pain. If you don't go along with what they say, you feel the pain. Because how dare you stand in their way of doing the government they want to do? Instead of doing the right thing and finding the non-essential expenditures, saying, okay, we'll cut these and there we go. Maybe we wanted them, we don't need them. The way you do your life, the way that you do your house, the way you do your business day to day. No. They always find the worst stuff that would hurt you the most and say, we'll go with that. And it's always public safety. It's not an accident. Andy Nielsen is the city councilor. Here's the quote from him. And again, it's not an accident that public safety is mentioned first. It's very deliberate. Quote, when we talk about cuts, we're cutting from eligible funding that is already being used for public safety to build fire stations. It's just like with the kids, with the school referendums, the human shields, right? We never cut from the non-essentials and make it work. It's always, if you don't raise your taxes, Junior's going to suffer. You don't want Johnny to have a bad life, do you? What sort of awful parent would you be? Build fire stations, ensures pools are open, grass gets cut at parks, and we pick up the dang trash. So he's threatened in there. If you don't let them raise your taxes by 5 times, which is what we're talking about, they're not going to be firemen coming to your emergency, and the trash won't get picked up. You're telling me in all of state government, or all of city government in this case, I mean, the same thing's true for state government, but in all of city government, the only thing you could find to cut were firemen and trash? Get the hell out of here. You guys have enough money to light up walking trails in the parks. You know what, those stones that light up? How much does that cost? Why don't we cut that? How many people are using the walking trails at night that we need lighted stones? You should not be out roaming around in Indianapolis after dark. I'm sorry. Shouldn't be happening. The point is, though, there's plenty of room that could be cut. There's plenty of things that could be changed. They don't want to do it. They want all of their stuff, and they want to take the lazy way out. And so in order to try to get the lazy way out, they want to threaten you with the worst thing possible. Why is it that regular people every day can identify cuts that can be made? The same thing with the state. Let's talk about the state. Last year with raising taxes by $1 billion. You don't have the ability to do that. You have to make it work. State government, city government, they'll just threaten to ruin your life. Hey, your trash won't get picked up. Don't let me do whatever I want. Your trash won't get picked up. It's pathetic. But these people are pathetic. And I hope the rest of those people stay firm. Don't override the veto. Make them go find the money. Everything will be okay. It always is. Anthony Gary, speaking of okay, he wants to make sure you have a more than okay, you have a great house buying experience. That's why he doesn't just show houses. He finds you homes with everything you're looking for, explains your options, and gets you an offer accepted without losing sleep or sanity. Take the worry out of it. Put Anthony in charge. You go look at the homes. You find the one you want. He tries to make it happen for you. Anthony's an expert negotiator ready to help you achieve your real estate goals. Put Anthony's expert real estate buying strategy to work for you and that great experience as well. Call or text Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate, 317-756-1159, 317-756-1159. All right, we'll take our break. Final break of the show. We're going the rest of the way. Thanks to our great friend, John Rust. We'll take a break. We'll be back. A lot more to get to, including the best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
I'm Anthony Gary. I started Indy Dwell Real Estate because too many friends, family members, and neighbors had real estate experiences that lacked compassion, explanation, and expertise. You deserve someone in your corner with the heart of a teacher, simplifying every step of the buying or selling process. When you hire me, you get me. Start to finish, you'll never be handed off. No stress, no surprises, just the expert guidance and results you deserve. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
With a lakefront view in beautiful Brazil, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage is a little out of the way, but totally worth the trip. Down home, made from scratch food, just like the good old days at Grandma's. When you visit the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage, you'll leave more at peace than when you came in. Open 5 to 8 for dinner on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays 11 to 1:30 for the buffet. You must experience the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Call 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003. Often imitated, never duplicated. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thank you guys for all you've done for us, helping us grow this amazing program. Indiana news, politics, and government you won't find anywhere else. Great things on the horizon. It is all thanks to you guys. And, we had a plan when we started this thing over 5 months ago. And every step of the way, we banked on you guys being there with us, and you have been. And our success is your success because it's about having the voice out there. The opinions, the views, the topics you're not going to hear anywhere else. And there's great stuff on the horizon. I think you guys are going to love it. We'll be hopefully rolling out some of it incrementally here, but I think it's going to culminate in some really, really good stuff. I mean, maybe bad for some people, but good for you. Good for you. I mean, it's what we do, right? Don't bet against us. I got the OCD. I was having this conversation yesterday with somebody I may be referencing here, and we were talking about that. And I said, one thing you find with me, we don't quit. we never give up. We're a little goofy, but we don't quit because we got the OCD. And it's because of you guys. And like I said, a lot of good stuff. Stay with us. Hopefully be able to tell you about some of this stuff maybe here in the next couple of weeks. And you're gonna love it. We're going to roll it out incrementally, some of it, and it's going to be awesome. Thanks for being with us. Give us that thumbs up if you haven't yet today. Like the program. Really does help us grow with the YouTube algorithm. Takes just a couple seconds, like the feed. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Subscribing to the channel gets you in the YouTube chat, which means coming up here in just a little bit, best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing, read by producer Jason. And like, share, subscribe. That's how you can help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. One of the people that's been with us from the beginning, unwavering loyalty, our great friends at Bramwell Mackay. You guys got a masonry color mismatch or a previous repair catching your eye? Not happy with the brick color on your home and ready for a total makeover? Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, you want to build something new? Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY, Bramwell Mackay, beauty built to endure. Couple of interesting statistics that I saw out here, and I'm fascinated to get your guys' opinion on this, especially if you have older kids. Now, Jason, your kid does not qualify because he's with me. He's a millennial. He is. He's always your kid, right? Like, I'm somebody's kid. Your boy, your son, whatever. He's too old for this. But for people with older kids, I would be fascinated to get your opinion on what is going on in our country. And it was story emanated out of the Hill. Almost 49% of adults under the age of 30 reported living at home in 2025, according to the Fed's survey of household economics and decision-making. SHED, that's the acronym. SHED. How about that? They always have to have an acronym, right? SHED. This number is up 6 points from 2022 and 12 percentage points from 2019. So irrefutable that we saw a major change in living arrangements and lifestyles from younger people after COVID. 12 points is a lot. I mean, 6 points. I mean, you kind of figure, I always kind of count COVID like 2020 through 2021. And yet from 2022 on, where like at least here in Indiana, a lot of other states, things kind of started going back to normal. A lot of younger people, younger adults, have made the choice to continue to live at home. Another 47%, according to the same survey, received help from someone outside their household to pay for an expense like cell phone bills, housing costs, according to the survey. Now, one of the things that is feared about this is the ripple it has, as Fortune referred to it, across the economy. You know, if you live with someone else, even if it's not your parents, it's roommates or whatever, that people are going to marry later, and they tend to not do things that really generate the economy. Start families, buy homes, all of that stuff. And so there's a fear now with you have an entire generation of people who are not living on their own until much later in life. What long-term impact is that going to have on the economy? Now, I see both sides of this because there's part of it that's like, yeah, getting out is good. You know, getting out, mingling with people, learning to live on your own, make decisions, all that stuff. But then there's part of me that's like, and this is probably the part that's winning out, is like, unless you have some significant other to live with who you can create a dual income, stable environment, everything's so expensive now. Why would you do it? I mean, I'm guessing if you got to bring the girls back to mom and dad's house at 27, 28, that might be an interesting conversation. I don't know. But that aside, if you're contributing in some capacity, especially, you pay a bills or you're helping with the electric bills or whatever, right? Why wouldn't you do it? Everything is so expensive now. It's so hard to find someplace good because of the issues we've had with the economy and the housing market, and certainly anything good that's affordable. If you're going to live with roommates anyway, why wouldn't you just stay at home? I talked to somebody yesterday who their son, I think, is 24, 25, and he just bought a duplex. And he's going to live in one side and rent the other side out. And he was able to do that because they let him live at home. And they said he was very responsible with his money. He was cognizant of what he wanted to do. He was working the entire time. He was contributing. And we said, well, as long as you're behaving yourself and being a good member of society, you got a game plan, sure, live here. And he saved up enough money where he was able to buy a duplex. He's living in one side, renting the other, and basically getting to live almost for free. That's a great game plan. It's interesting because the New Yorker recently raised, according to The Hill, the same concern in a survey they recently did and pointed out that the number of young adults living with their parents has been steadily increasing over the last 40 years. So while there was a big bump during COVID or post-COVID, this has been a trend really since the 1980s or the mid-1980s of more and more people living at home. Now, I think I moved out 22, 23. My old man politely said, it's probably time. He was very nice the way he worded it. My old man is very nice. He's very stern. I always said this, this is why I never broke any rules or laws or anything. I feared my father far more than any law enforcement punishment. So my father always gave very kind yet stern suggestions, and you knew that was him telling you. He'd say, I think it's time you start looking for your own place. And that meant you got the clock has started ticking on when you're out of here. Now, when we bought the radio station, it was there so much for the first year or two, it didn't make sense for me to be paying for, an apartment. I was only here for, a week or two at a time, and then I'd leave for a week or two. I actually moved back home for about a year because it was economically, so why would I pay for a place I'm not at 2 weeks out of the month? And so that made sense then to do that as well. And I was probably 20, 24, whatever. So it is fascinating, though, how much COVID, and we talk about this a lot on this show, the lasting impacts of COVID that went far beyond just the virus itself, the decisions made and how it has really altered or changed society. All right, one other thing I want to get to, and then we'll get to the best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. It's a wild story from CBS. And the story is basically how Gen Z, the same people that are living at home longer, are also rejecting technology. In particular, in this case, they're getting rid of their smartphones, and they're going back to flip phones, which we had in the 2000s. You think about how far phones have come. I remember when the iPhone came out, I was like, what the hell is that? I'll just stay with my old flip phone here. Seems to work fine. And basically, these younger people, other than some basic stuff, which you remember the old flip phones, they had maps, right? They had the ability to use the maps, GPS, some basic internet stuff. But other than that, they didn't really have the internet on it. And that's what they're going back to, having some basics, but not a lot. Technology, because they have been encompassed in it since their birth, basically. You think about people that are in their early 20s, they were born in the 2000s. They have their whole lives, they have had it. According to Pew Research, roughly half of U.S. adults in 2025 visited social media platforms like YouTube and Facebook for at least once a day. Research from the American Psychological Association showed an even higher usage among young people, with the average U.S. teen, get this statistic. This is crazy. The average U.S. teen spending nearly 5 hours a day on social media. That's more than a sixth of the day on social media. But then I'm like, so do I. And by the way, I mean, you're on social media right now. YouTube is considered social media. We exist for 3 hours a day just right here. And we do a lot promoting the show on the Facebook and the Twitter, uploading stuff to YouTube, all that stuff. I'm not being a hypocrite and being like, this is horrible. I mean, it's just a reality of, although I don't think a lot of the teens are working on social media. They're, having fun, whatever. But, Jason and I were having a conversation during the Tom Bartelt interview about how much Jason brings his guitars in every so often, and he'll play them while he's not paying attention to me. And we were talking about one of his guitars, and we got in a conversation about bands getting noticed, and I'll bring him in here in a minute to comment on this, but we were saying how much it's changed in terms of how people make it now in the music industry, or how people make it in a lot of industries. There's a lot of people, and this has actually been a theory on radio for a while. It hasn't really panned out because radio is a different animal. Radio takes actual talent to entertain people for 3 hours a day. People who are, it used to be, there's fewer and fewer of them, but you grew up learning how to be a broadcaster. You were trained. You learned from other people. There's an art to it. Competent management. People who used to be able to coach and train people how to be broadcasters. We got an old saying in radio, plagiarism's the greatest form of flattery. You took the people that you learned from, you took the best parts of them, and you kind of create your own style. That doesn't happen anymore. Now, more and more, the radio industry, because it's been so diluted, they're looking to people who got known on Twitter or on Instagram. They get a following, and they're like, well, they got a following. Maybe they'll follow them over here. Yeah, the influencer people. That isn't working because radio is a different animal. It's easy, or it's much easier to put together a 2-minute TikTok video versus I'm going to sit here for 3 hours and hold your attention. I'm not saying those people don't have talent. Clearly they do. I'm just saying it's a different animal. They're clearly successful in that, but that is not this. Dr. Jason Nagata, pediatrician and professor at the University of California, San Francisco, studies social media effect on young people. His research found that social media usage can mirror patterns seen in substance abuse. Quote, in teenagers and then even in adults, the sort of features of the design can lead to symptoms similar to substance-related addictions, which can include impaired control, withdrawal, tolerance, and relapse. Nagata also said research suggests a genuine payoff for people who commit to reducing their social media usage or staying off the platforms altogether. In the long term, many do not notice improvement in sleep. In the long term, many do notice improvement in sleep, better concentration, less overall stress. I believe every bit of that. I believe every single bit of that. But it's the world we live. And to get noticed now, you got to do something on the social media, no matter what sort of entertainment business that you are in. And speaking of entertainment, nobody entertains like this guy.
Boy, you got that right.
Producer Jason, best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Reminder, in order to be in the YouTube chat, you have to be a subscriber, and then you can join hundreds of other Rob Kendall Show listeners, viewers, fans. And then if you're exceptional in the YouTube chat, Jason might read your comment at the end of the day, sparks further conversation about topics we've discussed.
Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
John Rust.
Uh-oh.
Actually got all invitation directions mailed out today.
Oh, very good.
So you should be receiving your directions to John Rust's house for the big party, my big birthday bash. Tina and I growing younger together.
About 100 people already have RSVP'd. All you got to do, you want to join us, no fee, October the 3rd. Big old fun event, rustforamerica@gmail.com. Rustforamerica@gmail.com. That's where you RSVP. Just let John know your name and how many people you're bringing with you.
All right, if your water heater, water softener, well pump goes out, even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. Black Sheep Plumbing can do the job right at a fraction of the cost of the big guys. And Black Sheep Plumbing says thank you to all military, firefighters, and police officers with an American Heroes discount. Call or text John. Black Sheep Plumbing, 765-315-7558, 765-315-7558, Black Sheep Plumbing.
And don't forget, month of August, you go over to robkendallshow.com. If you've been wanting to support the show, you hit that support button. Whatever your donation number is, up to $100, John is going to double that in a plumbing credit for the month of August. So you'd say you support us $50. I send you an email saying, hey, thanks for supporting the show. We appreciate you. You're the best. You need your toilet fixed, plumbing issues, sink, faucet, whatever it might be, water softener, water heater, whatever it is. You show that email to John, you tell him how much you gave. He's going to double the credit. So if you did a $50 level, you're going to get a $100 credit. John McKinney, great supporter of our show, loves us, Black Sheep Plumbing.
There we go. All right, let's get to the chat today. And I'm not positive who was first today because of the chat. We have so many comments. It's well over 1,000 every day.
Yes.
And YouTube can't keep up, so they keep, like when you're doing it on a tablet, they only show so many comments. And every now and then I'm a little derelict in my duties, and I don't get that first one, but I'm sure the chat community will let me know. But the first one I've got is Spray Jockey.
Oh?
Yep. It was great to meet others at Double D's yesterday. Got to eat with Bartelt Farms and met Andy Engel. And his wife. So Tom Bartelt, Andy Engel, Spray Jockey, all out there together. And somebody else was out there. I think it's in here at some point. So I think Double D's, they got to be banking off the Rob Kendall Show. Probably the best investment they've ever made.
Well, just ask any of our sponsors. Honeysuckle Hill Bistro, ask Bramwell Mackay, just any of them.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are amazing. I say we deliver. You guys deliver. You guys support our advertisers, and you guys are amazing. Thank you very much.
All right. Looks like also today, according to MLM Warriors, very appropriate, Farm Worker Appreciation Day.
There you go. Yes. Yeah.
There we go with Mr. Bartelt on there talking about the farmers down there in southern Indiana. Spray Jockey, does that include farmers or just the workers? And according to Bartelt Farms, every farmer is a worker. So, yes, no slackers owning a farm, I wouldn't think. All right, so here we go. Our governor is what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
yeah.
Governor.
Governor, yes, not gooberner.
G-O-V, although he may be, he is a gooberner.
Depends on who you ask. Topic of the first segment today.
Yep.
Am I correct? There we go. Mad Duck all over it. And who is shocked that the gooberner lied again? That's where I got the word. Steve Green with an E. If Braun has this authority, then the gas tax should be suspended until the end of his term.
That's right.
I mean, just do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're sitting on $4 billion in reserves over taxation. It's going to go to $5 billion. The gas taxes are about $1.5 billion a year. What are we doing?
MLM Warriors, in his best Judas Priest voice, breaking the law. I'm assuming that's what he was referring to.
You know, I saw Judas Priest a couple years ago in concert.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah, at the White River.
Oh, they have about 4 good songs.
Yeah.
Breaking the Law, got another thing coming. Yep. There's another one I used to play all the time. Living After Midnight.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about the only 3 I know.
I think they closed with Living After Midnight. I had not seen the front guy for Judas Priest in years.
Oh.
And he was
I think it's the original guy.
Yeah,
still.
It's the main dude. Yeah. And he was like, real skinny in the 80s. He's not real skinny anymore.
Not real skinny.
Not real skinny anymore. He's enjoyed the spoils of fame.
Yeah.
I went with our old pal Scott Jennings from the big talk station in Ohio.
Oh.
Who been friends for years, and he came in. He's a huge Judas Priest fan. He said, "Would you go?" And a bunch of people were like Rob Kendall's at the Judas Priest concert? Yes, I was.
There you go. Was the Big Talker you said, or the Big Talk Station?
The Big Talk Station.
Yeah, the Big Talker would be a great name for a radio station, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Andy Engel, our emergency is that we have the 5th highest gas taxes in the country. That's our emergency.
There you go.
That's right.
That's a permanent emergency.
There we go. Ethan Hatcher in the chat. The governor brazenly broke the law, but who is going to sue him to make sure Hoosiers pay higher gas taxes? That going to be you, Rob?
Yeah, well, that's, and that's what and this is what sucks, right? They're daring the Democrats because Ed Delaney came out and said it's totally illegal, which it is. And they're daring the Democrats because they want to run ads going, Democrats wanted your gas prices to go up.
Exactly.
It's horrible government. It's manipulative. It's underhanded. And it's the Republicans. What are you going to do?
All right. 06010 board. Indiana GOP wants to expand. The only direction they're going is leftward, though.
That's right.
Yeah. Mad Duck.
I mean, and just real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I have no problem with the gas tax being suspended. Do it the right way. Your elected officials need to be on the record saying we're for it or we're against it.
Well, where does it stop? Okay, today it's the gas tax. What's tomorrow? The Mid-States Corridor?
Well, we saw this during COVID where they just let these guys get away with that, whatever they want. So you got to remember history of, hey, you might like this one, but what about the one you didn't like?
Witty reviews.
Oh, witty.
Indy reporter.
Yeah.
What emergency can we come up with to suspend property taxes?
That's right. Well, remember, this is what's so frustrating is he didn't call that special session, one, because these guys avoid work like the plague, but two, they don't want the smoke on it. They don't want to vote on it. And so he just did it on his own. And it's the whole thing with property tax. I told him in that last meeting, I said, veto it, call a special session, and make them, if they override it or whatever, fine. But he's like, no, there's not the will there to do that. Well, there's not the will to do this either, and you did the executive order on this. Great point.
All right, now we're talking about Tom Bartelt that was in here on the show, talking about that Mid-States Corridor that they're trying to vamp back up. Sue Seifert sending surveyors out during hunting season with no notice. WTF.
That's pretty stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah. The old man 68, who's from down that area, I believe. Why would you expect the House Transportation Committee to know about a secret, underhanded interstate project? Again, the lawmakers had no idea this was going on right under their nose because, well, they all read the bills, of course. They just missed that part.
Wasn't that crazy that we did that? We gave a whole week on that. The last days of IBC. And isn't that wild?
You can almost say I got you fired. If I had never gone down there and done those interviews with Mr. Bartelt and the other folks, maybe
who knows?
Maybe
but I mean, that's wild. That's the last thing we did. And then the lawmakers basically admitted we didn't know anything about this. Like, how could you?
Right.
How could you not know?
How do they even admit that? That's because several people have told you that. It's like they all freely admit, I don't read the bills. I don't know. The governor does what he wants to do. Who are we to stop the governor?
It's crazy.
All right. 06010 board. Bartelt demands respect and made Rob change his shirt. Okay. We do the interviews the day before. That's not a secret anymore.
Yes. I don't think we're trying to.
Tomorrow you're going to see that shirt.
Yeah. When I talk with Pointer
interview
from the Save Heritage Indiana group, you're going to see this shirt and the same shirt with Nikki Kelly too.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Old man 68. My father's property in Davies County sits right in the path of the Mid-States Corridor, and he has trail cams all over the place. Heaven help the surveyor who shows up without a court order. 30 acres can hide many bodies.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we don't encourage that.
We don't condone or encourage any of that.
Not the surveyor's fault. They're just doing what they're told. But we get your anger.
Wasn't it wild when Bartelt was talking about his property and how it was going to be impacted, and that farm that has been in his family for whatever it's been 170 years or whatever the number was, and they're just going to go right through it.
Yeah.
It's just over.
No trespassing signs don't really.
No, I mean I'm saying the road itself is just going to go. It's over.
Well, it's like 69. I mean, what they accomplished with 69? That had to be for truckers and things as well, because I've driven down 69 many times. Could have easily just driven down 37, but there's nobody on 69 other than the trucks, and there's no gas stations, there's no no place to pull over and get food and all that stuff. So it's definitely all. And how long did it take them to build that? How many billions of dollars? Lucas Notoris, also I believe from down that way. We hate Braun down here.
Yes,
so he is from down that way. Bum. All Might is here. Crazy. This guy's constantly has to fight to keep his own property.
Isn't it wild? How much time and money and everything those guys have had to spend?
That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, they're property owners. They've got a few bucks in their pocket. Fortunately, they can afford to fight it. But, the average people can't afford to fight that sort of thing.
And they don't want anything, just be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like asking for stuff. They're just like, please just leave me alone.
Right.
I'd like to just live on my property.
Right. Lucas Notoris adds, Mesmer needs to hear from us. And Bartelt Farms responded, he has heard from us. He doesn't listen. So Josh Richardson at Bartelt, this is so sad to hear. Jay, Indiana, this hits hard. Farming is one of those things you have to be born into, especially these days, and Braun is just ripping that up.
You know what's interesting to me? And look, the Capitol Chronicles covered a little bit. The Stars covered a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the media, other than us, I mean, they still just aren't.
No, it's just a goofy story that nobody pays attention to because it's not happening in the donut.
It's just like, man, this is a massive story because of the money and the fact that they literally, you look at that Bears Stadium bill, they put the thing in there saying anything over $250 million has to go through the state budget committee. That was literally to stop Braun or make it harder for Braun because they knew Braun can't be trusted. And nobody, like, other than Capitol Chronicle, Star, maybe a couple others, nobody else even hit on that. Like, that's what they think of the governor. You're so untrustworthy, we have to write this bill to prevent you from doing this project.
Right. And here we go. Who's your simple country lawyer? I also believe from down south. Echoing what I said here. I-69 between I-64 and Bloomington was another road to nowhere that only benefited trucking companies and only helped the handful of people traveling from Evansville to Bloomington for IU games. Good point. Steve Green with an E, 100%. I've driven that a few times. It gets very little use except big rigs. All right, let's see. Boom. Oh, yeah, an 06010 board, a highly tolled corridor to pay for its initial construction, upkeep, and the cost for land acquisitions. Guarantee you the one road that would never be tolled in Indiana would be the Mid-States corridor.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And Chris Chafin, and this is the final couple comments on this. Chris Chafin, is the government at least offering a nice payout to you for your inconvenience, Mr. Bartelt? And he answers, they offer what they think is a fair price for destroying your life.
Wow, what a good response.
Yeah.
What a good response. That's great.
Yep. So, okay, then Lucas Notoris at Bartelt Farms. I live just east of you. How can I help? Can I attend a meeting? Tom responds, we meet every other Thursday at the Clubhouse 61 in Jasper. The meeting tonight is a town hall including other local issues. So it's tonight, very timely. Rob Kendall all over it on the timeliness of that. So
what we do here,
if you want to help and you're down there, go on down.
What we do.
There we go. Okay, moving on. Okay, who was it? Somebody, driver, the Herman Cain 999 plan. I'm not sure why he's real hot on that. He's brought it up several times in the chat. He's very eager to hear your thoughts on whether the Herman Cain 999 plan from 15 years ago would have been effective.
Okay, so I'm sure most of you know, but those of you maybe not need a refresher. Herman Cain was the CEO of Godfather's Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided he was going to run for president. He had never, to my knowledge, ever held any sort of public office.
Mm-hmm.
And he was running in 12. So that would have been the Romney. Who the hell? Romney got it in the end, but the Huckabee, Ron Paul, all those guys were running. And he was in that group. And he came out of nowhere. And for a brief period of time, he was like in the polling, the front runner.
Right. You never want to be the front runner several months before the election.
Now, he got undone, and I think he has since passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He got undone because he had a little fidelity problem, I think it came out, that he had had some issues with that, if I'm recalling everything correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And he got kind of derailed. But he had this plan that everybody was intrigued by called the 999 plan, and it was a revamp of the tax code, which it was all the taxes were 9%. It was 9% income. It was 9% sales tax, And there was not, I forget what the other 9 was, but it was 999. So everything he did was 999, 9999.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting. But the actual issue, and people are more in tune with it today than they were 15 years ago or 14 years ago or whatever. It's spending.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what the government brings in if you don't stop the spending.
Right.
You have to get the government under control. The reason that we had the greatest economy in the history of our country and probably the history of our world from probably about 1996 through until 9/11, really, was because of the balanced budget stuff, where the Republicans won the Congress. They forced Clinton to balance the budget. And then it valued the dollar and things took off. Like, remember, like 2000, they couldn't even find people to work. Like there was like zero unemployment. It was crazy. I remember being in high school at the time. Like you could make buku bucks as a high school kid because they couldn't find workers.
Mm-hmm.
None of the other tax plans matter if you don't stop the spending. And that's true at the federal level, it's true at the state level, it's true at the local level. So it was interesting, but I'm not sure it would have done any good without any sort of, firm spending controls. Need the balanced budget amendment.
All right. Part 2 of his question was, we discussed this the other day, your favorite cartoon character.
Your
favorite cartoon or character.
Well, I was trying to think of what I watched as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a huge cartoon person, but I watched real Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, Turtles. What the hell else did I watch? Garfield.
Okay.
Garfield.
That kind of covers it. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like
Driver. I just want to make sure Driver, we got his answer.
I was not a huge cartoon person, but
yeah. Well, I mean, as a kid, you are.
When I was a kid, here's how my life worked. When I was a kid, my dad, because the Cubs played on WGN every day, and it was a 1:00 start time, 1:20 start time, and so we called it the timer. Right? It was a VHS cassette, and he would tape WGN, and the last thing my dad would say to me every day is, do not touch that TV until that tape stops.
Right.
I had a little TV like up in my room, but that you did not touch the TV. And so then the game would end at like 4:20 local time. My old man would get home like shortly after that. We'd eat dinner, and then at 5, you would watch the ball game. Like, it was not a discussion. You would watch the ball game.
Right.
You could fast forward.
Or you could go up on your little TV.
Well, but you could fast forward to the commercials. Then the Atlanta Braves would start at like 7:20. So then you would watch because they were on TBS back then, because Turner owned the Braves.
Right.
And so
your dad had every night covered.
There was not a lot of negotiation on what was.
Did your dad watch The Fever?
No,
I didn't take your dad for a Fever fan.
No,
they're on tonight, by the way. Kicking ass, doing well.
But there wasn't like a ton of cartoon watching, as I recall, as the Ghostbusters, the G.I. Joe, and maybe a few others. But there was just not a lot of. I lived in a very adult environment growing up.
Right on. Well, there you go. Driver thanked me for all that. He says I rock. So just trying to keep the chatters happy. They put a lot of time and effort into this, and we love every single one of them, and we want you all to keep asking questions. That's why we keep answering.
And wherever we go, we're keeping the chat. We're keeping this. We're
this
keeping
format
the chat.
will be here. Others will have to. They'll just feed off of what we've got. But
we are keeping what we have. So whenever we're able to announce what we're doing,
you may be able to listen other places, but we'll still be here if you just want to come home and chat with us.
Stay.
There we go. We'll always be able to enjoy Rob's checked shirts. There we go. Kevin Branham, thanks for the 3rd hour, John Rust.
That's right.
Go. Steve Green with an E, Rust or Bust. Back to Bartelt Farms and his interview, Jan Hatch. God bless this man. Thank you for giving him a platform to share his story.
Well, one of the things, and I mentioned this earlier, our shows have always been different because we find stories outside the main that affect regular people, and we give them a voice. And so, they're not like slick politicians. They're not lobbyists. They're not spokesmen. Like, we have the people on. In this case, it's a farmer, right? And they come in here and they're not used to doing this. And they get outside their comfort zone because it's an issue they're passionate about. And you hear a real person talk the way a real person would talk about the issues that are affecting their lives. And he did an awesome job.
Oh, yeah. He drove
great.
up 3 hours or whatever, 3+ hours. But he's like, when he said, man, can't believe you drove all the way up here for this. We really appreciate it. Well, I'm going to Double D's, so I'm taking advantage of that. That's why I came up here, was get to Double D's. And then he runs into Spray Jockey and Andy Engel, and somebody else was there yesterday, too. I'm sure we'll find out here in the chat who that was. But, okay, back to John Rust, Wino Gina. Thanks, John Rust. Sue Seifert, John Rust, I'm sorry I won't be able to meet you in a month to shake your hand and say thank you in person. So she says it right here.
Very good.
Everybody very thankful of John. The Old Man 68, thanks for the third hour, Mr. Rust. Chris Chafin, thank you, John Rust. Ethan Hatcher, thank you, John Rust. In Rust, we trust. Josh Richardson, thank you, Mr. Rust. Driver, thank you, John Rust. Hey, you get the point. It goes on and on and on.
I listened to, when I was driving to work today, John has a radio show on Freedom 95.9. I know the mug's blocked here, but and I was listening to it. He posted up on YouTube. If you guys just put John Rust into your YouTube search bar, when you get done here today, you can check that out, and enjoyed listening to that on my way into work today.
The Ultimate Warrior blocking John's
You did that. There. I didn't do that.
I yeah, okay. The flag, courtesy of Mom, by the way.
Thanks,
Producer Mom. She has a John Rust cup sitting with and she's got like a little patriotic setup going and everything, a little spinner, and whenever the air comes on, it spins the spinner and all that, and the flag starts waving. I'm like, need a flag for the show. And of course, she's like a flag person. She loves American flags, puts them on my dad's grave and all that stuff. And she's like, I got the one for you. So
that's awesome. It looks great.
Producer Mom's flag right there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Rusted Bolt Garage. What the hell? I got kicked out of the chat. Well, not by me, you didn't. He says he keeps getting the message that it was subscribers only mode, but you must have YouTube was playing with you there, Rusted Bull Garage. You're fine. You did not get banned, and everybody could still see your stuff. Sometimes YouTube gets wacky on an individual basis, and it doesn't necessarily shut everybody down, but could have been your internet, any number of things like that. C. Mills, a Rusted Bolt. I don't think so. I see your chats. See, I didn't shut you down. And, okay, so, and then he obviously got back in. C. Mills, maybe Jason got mad at you. No, I did not get mad at you. You're fine. Jack the Libertarian, legalize all forms of cannabis, tax it, then use the tax money to take care of the roads and eliminate property taxes. Problem solved. Well, in a normal man's thinking world or normal thinking world, that would probably make some sense, but you think they're going to take that money and use it and replace the property taxes?
Right.
They will eventually legalize it. I don't know when. I mean, all this tax money is going to all the other states because, people are certainly driving out of state to buy it. But no, it'll just, and of course, I imagine Lily's covers the loss of that tax. Only my opinion. I don't know. I'm only going by what other people say. Shrog Sandwich. But Jack, what about poor Eli Lilly and their miracle drugs? See, all great minds all think alike on this. There we go. So, you were talking earlier about people living in, or kids living in their parents' houses.
That's right.
What have you. The trend, COVID really, really changed that because, like we're all traditional minded where we think, okay, well, when you get to 18, you either go to college or you move out. You get a job, you move out. And what typically happens, like you hit on, when you hit that 17, 18, if you're not going to college, or even if you are, I guess, you hook up with a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and you're both going to, make a family, and so you're going to get a place, and because you're not going to bring, the girl home to mom's house type of thing. Well, then COVID hit, and the housing situation changed, and people weren't working. They weren't, I guess they were going to school or whatever, but even back before that, the one thing that people tend to leave out is a lot of parents would often pony up the financial support for a down payment on a house or to help with a car payment or insurance or groceries or just whatever. So the parents were still doling out money. The kids just weren't at home. Where now, and you see this with a lot of younger people, guy you used to work with over the other station, where they're in their 20s and 30s and they're still at home. Where traditionally you'd look at that as, well, what a loser! You can't make it on your own. But they're like, well, like you said, why would I go out and spend $1,000 on rent? And that's just to cover my half because every place to rent's $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, whatever. Pay all that money to rent in a dump and all the other expenses. and I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have a boyfriend or whatever, because the whole social scene kind of changed to where you often talk about Broad Ripple and the Broad Ripple sixes and all that stuff that you used to hook up with. You find one and you can't take her home and stuff. So you go, well, they don't do that anymore. Now it's kind of like friends gather at friends' houses, and they don't drink as much. The sales of alcohol have really dropped a lot.
Yeah.
Now maybe the weed has been picked up a lot in other states, and they're substituting that because I know that a lot more people smoke marijuana and things like that. But so technically, you could say the parents are sitting back going, I'm financially way better with him just living here.
Because there's no money being
Because I'm not giving him $50,000 for a down payment on a house, for an inflated house and things like that. So it's not like in our minds, in traditional minds, it's living in grandma's basement or whatever. Well, what's wrong with living in grandma's basement? I mean, if you're productive and you don't even have to pay grandma rent because grandma's like, no, I love my grandson or I love my son and daughter. I don't need that money. I want them to save that money, or I want them to use that money, or whatever. So I think a lot of that's just a psychological change, and not necessarily due to finances. It's just, but COVID really screwed a lot of people up.
Yeah,
I mean,
it disrupted the whole ecosystem.
The whole social, exactly, whole social ecosystem. But all right, so I know we got to get out of here. So any other topics that you would like me to enlighten you on?
No, thank you. You've really schooled me on everything.
All right, nothing else.
No.
Okay, well, if there is, I'm here for you. Just let me know.
All right. It's a community service.
There we go. Meanwhile, this chat brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Give John a call. He's coming to see me tomorrow, checking out my water heater that has a kind of a smoky.
That's not good.
Smells a little smoky every time somebody takes a shower.
Smoke is bad.
Does some dishes, does the laundry. It's like, where's that coming from? And that's not a good thing, probably. So he's going to come check that out tomorrow. So till then, we'll see you. So long.
All right, another show in the books. You guys are amazing as always. We couldn't do it without you. Before you leave, if you could real quick, hit that thumbs up. Really helps us out. And then go on your merry way. Don't forget, State House Happenings has dropped. It's available for you guys now. You just head over to the video tab on YouTube. On all the other on-demand platforms, it should be already available in your feed. Really digging in this week on State House Happenings, Jim Merritt, myself, about this likelihood of Chris Garton taking over the Senate from Rod Bray. All these conservatives are super excited because Garton gave this great speech during redistricting. And we take a little closer look at Garton's actual voting record and who he's surrounding himself with and how I think, conservatives are going to be rather disappointed. But be curious to get your thoughts. Check it out. Again, on the videos tab there on YouTube, and all the on-demand platforms should be in your feed. State House Happenings. Just think of it as like an extended 30-minute version of the Rob Kendall Show. All right, that is going to do it for us today. You guys take care of yourself. Be safe out there. We'll be back here tomorrow. Daniel Pointer from Save Heritage Indiana is going to be with us. Nikki Kelly from the Capital Chronicle will be with us. Got a big show coming up for you tomorrow. Nobody does Indiana news, politics, and government like us, and we couldn't do it without you. Have a great rest of your day. For producer Jason, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been watching. You've been listening to Rob Kendall Show.